It's that time again. Welcome to the stage. Oh yeah. Where energy and creativity collide. Here we go. Let's level up. Make this something to remember. All right.
Hello everybody and welcome to NACE Star League. We have a pair of amazing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Crews coming up for everybody in a moment. But before we get to that, I am me. This is Dak. Dak, my brother, how are you doing this fine Thursday?
Man, it is good to be back. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it last week, but I was so excited to be able to jump back in as we continue through the 2022 fall season. And yeah, we have some awesome matches tonight. Some of the best teams in both of their conferences, respectively, duking it out as they continue through the season.
And we're going to do a quick recap of the season format for everybody. We are currently in week 6 of the regular season. Like Dak said, the conference play will be after that, followed up by conference championships, and then the last chance qualifier, and then finally the playoffs for the best of the best will be duking it out for a chance to make it to the grand finals. Be going to be held in December. And honestly, Dak, I think one of the 4 teams we have here, at least one of them, is probably going to be making it to grand finals. And let's talk about those teams in match number 1. Kaiser State University, 4-1 on the season. Going to be taking on the 3-0 West Virginia. 2 really great teams going on there. Excited to see that one. And match number 2, Oakland University, also 3-1 up against Northwood, the team that I think me and you are both taking to possibly win the entire thing, Dad.
No, absolutely. Northwood, absolutely dominant performance 2 weeks ago on broadcast. No surprise we're seeing them again. They're always bound to put on a show, and they are one of the few teams really, throughout the league, of course, alongside West Virginia University. They're still undefeated in the league. They're the only 4-0 team left in the East 1 Conference, and they're, I believe, only one of 9 or 10 teams in the whole league that have not dropped an entire match yet this far into the season. So can't wait to see them play. Can't wait to see all these teams play as we move forward here tonight on the broadcast.
And we gotta give a quick shout out to the sponsor, the scholarship, I should say, provided by the sponsors. $2,000 for first place, $1,000 for second, and $500 for third. I'm a student myself. That money could definitely go a very, very long way. So shout out to everyone who made this tournament possible. And I'll give them a quick shout out. Extra Life, Corsair, Monster, BetterHelp, Duncan, Mavix, and ROTC. With Extra Life, change kids' health to change the future. And join our super team page today. Again, this would not be possible without any of them, so thank you. But on to these matches. Up first, we're going to be having Kaiser State University and West Virginia. We've seen Kaiser State a few weeks ago. I think that one loss they have is actually the one loss that might have been on broadcast, if I'm not mistaken. And they're going to be taking on West Virginia Institute of Technology. And if you're unfamiliar with how the crew battle format works, here it is. Teams will compete in teams of 4 will compete in the crew battle, and your stocks carry over between each match. And the best of 3, you win the best of 3 to win the series. And the most important part here is that those stocks carry over. How you win matters just as much as you winning with 2 stocks, winning with 3 stocks, however many stocks you take out, etc., etc. Oftentimes, it's not just good enough to win, but you have to save yourself as well. But you know what, Dak, with the way these 4 schools are some of the best schools that we've had, honestly, I expect stocks to be flying off the board.
Yeah, and here are the rosters for our first match here. If you've been watching, actually, you'll remember that a lot of players have already been on broadcast. In fact, 3 of the 4 teams we've seen or going to see tonight have already been on the broadcast previously throughout the season. So if you've been following along, you'll be familiar with some of these. Yes, we did see Kaiser University. They played all the way back in week 2 and I believe they struggled a little bit against Old Dominion there. So and this is a little bit of a redemption matchup for them here to try and get a win on broadcast. They are 4-1 since then, which is pretty solid. Tempest is playing the Villager. Rule was a Zelda Bayo. The Man playing really in Sora. And Chaos Verge is actually a player we have not seen for them just yet. We had Argo play for them last time, so we'll see if there's a player swap there. And then, of course, we have West Virginia facing off with their team of Simplicity Inc., Gohan, and Civet. A team we have not seen at all on broadcast, so not sure what to expect just there. We might see a Lucas, we might see a Hero, we might see a Byleth. We're not entirely sure here, but the team is undefeated. They're 3-0. And with that in mind, I'm sure they have a lot to offer, a lot to bring to the table here against Kaiser, who wants to bring themselves to a 5-1 record.
And yeah, West Virginia definitely wants to stay undefeated this deep into the season. We're at week 6 of 8 at this point, I believe. So yeah, being 4-0 or being 3-0 or 3-1, that's a big difference this late into the season, where one game could potentially separate you from being first in conference to second or third, especially with how close everything is. So everyone wants to stay either undefeated or move up to 4-1 or 3-1 or whatever the case is. But yeah, let's talk about the teams really quick. We did a little bit of research on West Virginia University, and we actually see that Inc., their Lucas, is going to be going up first against Rule, who's going to be playing Zelda, I believe, on Kaiser State University. That is a very common matchup, to say the least. You have Lucas, who is a solid character that doesn't really get much burn, and Zelda, who is kind of, depending on who you ask, either garbage or underrated, depending on who you ask. But two characters you don't see often, if at all, and obviously we got to mention this being on Wi-Fi as well. That kind of adds to the matchup. But just on paper, we've seen Rule play. We know that Rule is solid. I kind of have to give that matchup edge to Bayo. I mean, to Zelda. I mean,
I was gonna say I would give that to Bayo every time.
To Zelda.
I mean, I want to really quick go to these predictions here too, because we're talking about character matchups. But let's talk about the school matchups real quick here. I think this is the first time that our predictions have not lined up. You, to be fair, you changed your prediction after I made mine. You did change it, so I'll let everyone know that he was originally going for Kaiser, but Mies changed his prediction, so just gonna air him out right now. I stuck with Kaiser. I've seen Kaiser on broadcast. They have a Ridley on their team, so I went with Kaiser. But West Virginia, they are the undefeated team in this matchup. So on paper, as you mentioned, this is the team that is probably favored. I'm going to stick with Kaiser just because I've seen them play, and you know what? Why not? Let's mix it up a little bit. I'm gonna be a little different here. And yeah, this is a matchup that we have not. I don't think we've done a broadcast just yet. Zelda versus Lucas. Lucas coming the West Virginia side. I never want to play Zelda's on Wi-Fi. I feel like Zelda though is a character that might have some trouble against Lucas, right? Because Lucas can get in these really short hop nairs, can forward air, a really quick option that you can kind of mash at Zelda, and also can absorb Din's Fire. So those are like some kind of options there that I'm looking for. And Zelda might have trouble dealing with edge guarding Lucas. On the other hand, I don't want to deal with that Knight, right? I'm not dealing with the Phantom Knight of Lucas. That's going to be a really big, issue and wall to get through. So an uncommon matchup for sure. Of course, Wi-Fi always a factor here. It's the third player, really, the third man of the team, so to speak, because you're going to be, looking at these matches. But I might give the edge here to Lucas. Like, Lucas can probably combo Zelda a little bit here, and I think Zelda might have some trouble landing kills hard outright on Lucas unless they just get a really hard read.
I think the key for Rule in this matchup is going to be the edge guarding you mentioned before. Lucas, despite having a good-ish recovery, is very exploitable, especially if you push them out of range where they can't use their tether. Being an Earthbound character, they have that PK Thunder, very, very, very exploitable if they do it at a bad time or at a bad spot. And I do think with things like Din's Fire and again potentially the Phantom as well, I think Zelda does have tools that can kind of sort of deal with what Lucas wants to do on stage, but it is a little bit of a risk whenever you aggressively edge guard one of the Earthbound characters. You risk getting completely blown up by the Thunder as well. But I do think the victory for Rule will be that edge guarding. And you did say, the key for it and Lucas is going to be on stage. You basically should be winning neutral 100% of the time. You have Zaire, you have Nair, you mentioned Ford, a whole, basically the tools that Lucas has, despite not being an amazing character, he has very good individuals. So I think the key for it, is you have to win neutral every single time, and you should win neutral every single time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a great point there. Obviously, an amazing leader in Lucas's repertoire, and I think a lot of this gameplay too is gonna be trying to play around Zelda neutral B, like trying to bait that out, right? You're not gonna be able to side B as much as Lucas because you know that's kind of in the pocket for Zelda, but you want to try to bait that out because that's a punishable move. So you want to be able to like, okay, I'm gonna try to condition you to respect this side B or at least respond to it, throw out that neutral B, and then okay, I'm gonna Zare you. I'm gonna go for a grab on the cooldown frame. So there's definitely a little bit of a back and forth there that the Luke is going to be looking for here. I'm going to be afraid of that Phantom Knight right there. Like that's going to be an issue to deal with. And Lucas really can't consistently edge guard Zelda. So you, like you said, you're really going to have to be dominant on stage and then do what you can to try to use like neutral B to force Zelda to try to like recover low if you can. And then that's like, all right, I'm gonna have to play this edge guarding game. I have to play seeing what I can do in the corner as you're respecting or responding to get up options. It could definitely go either way, but I think Zelda, like if you have the stronger player, I think Zelda might be scarier because Zelda can just hit super hard. Lucas, though, if you're a player who like knows their combos and those combo starters, like you could rack up damage those early mid percents on Zelda really quickly. It can be a scary kind of situation there, especially in a crew battle situation.
Honestly, one thing that you brought up, it's a good point, is Zelda can hit like an up truck, especially if you get that sweet spot forward air or back air. I've seen people lose Ox at like 70, 65 sometimes off the side. That move is absolutely crazy. And again, I have to bring up, it is on Wi-Fi. There is a bit of a delay, and Zelda is one of those characters that absolutely get buffed in this format. It becomes so much more difficult to react to the neutral B, that reflector. It becomes so much harder to react to the Phantom, to the forward air, to the back air, all that kind of stuff that they want to throw out, those kind of single hit, big hit moves, again, like the forward air and back air and things like that. Becomes really hard to avoid those on Wi-Fi. And I do believe we're going to get our first game starting right here. Again, Kaiser University with Rule and West Virginia University with Ink the Luke. And let's get started. And off the bat, I saw 2 PK fires before the white boy screen even was gone.
We were talking about combos here too. Zelda also has a little bit of those low percent combos here, but also that up air. So good at covering landing. Yeah. And that's something that Lucas is going to have to respect every single time.
Oh, and that was a quick stock forward smash, getting trapped at the ledge. I really think Ink was afraid of the Phantom coming and was not prepared for that forward smash. And already, first stock going to Kaiser State University. Okay, and forward air battle here. PK freeze. That's going to be really big for edge guarding. You did bring up that Lucas may struggle to edge guard Zelda, and so that PK freeze is going to be not a kill. It's going to be vital if they want to win.
Oh, that's gonna sneak right in. The PK fires and they get him in. Of course, recovering high there that time, trying to avoid the neutral B, and now just respecting this because Zelda's at kill percent. But you don't want to start fishing for the kills here because Zelda will be able to start to combo a little bit. The grab will land. These grabs are going to be critical at these lower mid percents to just guarantee damage off of Nair, off of up air. There's that low recovery that I was talking about earlier. Nice jump, just still stay alive here. And yeah, Lucas has some trouble even when you're trying to use down smash to really keep Zelda at bay. So Rule could definitely keep that in mind and really get back to stage for free a lot of the time as long as they can avoid neutral B and side B.
Yeah, and those PK fires right there just making Zelda touch the blast, so not quite enough to get the KO. Forward air coming through. Okay, opting to stay off stage a little bit, but then letting Ink rack on. Oh man, one thing I have noticed with Rule is just baiting out an option with that Phantom every single time, and then whatever we see Ink take that stock, and whatever Ink decides to do to respond to the Phantom, we're seeing Rule either get a grab. We saw them get like get a jab, I think, one time. So every single time the Phantom comes out, I really think Rule's taking advantage of it, even if it's not landing.
Up B lands there too, and yeah, there are a lot of options that Ink is just getting walled out, as you're mentioning, and that Phantom can be such a big tool. That up B lands. That always hits me when I get hit by that. I'm sure it's hurting here as well. The Phantom again covering him at the ledge, looking for that air dodge. Does get it, but misses the cover with the jab. And now Rule with the slight lead here, but we're not going to get our 9 or 12 stocks taken immediately, I don't think. But this is something we'd like to see. Again, these teams are some of the better teams in their conference. They're doing really well coming into week 6, so no surprise the competition's a lot closer this time.
And you know what, Dak? Funny thing, this is a match where it really feels like Rule has been dominating, but this is a one-stock game with Rule about to almost losing the stock right there. Despite it being this close, yes, really feels like Rule has been in complete control. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say the thing is too is that Zelda is very willing to play this like war of attrition. Like if Lucas wants to sit back and throw side Bs, right, and play a very projectile game, Zelda can do that right back. And a lot of this time, Rule is winning outright and getting more damage off of these zoning pressures. And look at that, the neutral comes in clutch right there on the side B, and then the coverage almost. I think they were looking for a grab and might have gotten another roll into the right side, unfortunately. But now we're tied up 1-1. And Ink has to do something major here to get a kill before they drop. They're already kill percent.
And you know what, Lucas is one of those characters that could absolutely decimate your stock if they get cooking a little bit. Also has two really good spikes with that back air and with that down air, but you know what, we are not going to see any of those as Argo. I believe that was an upbeat KO there again, kind of baited out. Baiting out an option with the Phantom. As soon as it reacted to the Phantom, got hit with the upbeat, and that's the one thing that Rule was just doing phenomenally. I mentioned it before, every single time that Phantom came out, Ink would do something, whether that was a roll or a shield, and Rule every single time would either get grab or get. I think we saw first stock was a forward smash, the exact same situation, and I really feel like this Ink just never figured out how to deal with that.
Yeah, I think some of the best thing you can do in those situations is try to attack the Zelda in time while they're building Phantom instead of sitting in shield, which you see right there. Sitting in shield gets kind of forced back and kept at bay, and then Zelda can follow up, because that's exactly what Zelda wants you to do. If you're sitting in shield, that's Marvel pressure right there. Like the Phantom's an assist for you. You can come in, land a grab, or try to combo you off of, you know, you getting hit, or if you jump out of shield. So if really a lot of the time the best thing you can do is try to challenge the Phantom or Phantom Knight before it's actually built. The problem is that Lucas isn't a super fast character and isn't always in the position to do that. So sometimes you kind of have to just take it and like respect it, jump away, and get out of dodge and reset the situation. If you're able to do that, you're gonna feel the consequences.
And like every single time that Ink dodged, we saw that last stock right there, jumped away, but Rule was ready for it and had that be in the perfect position to get that KO. It's almost like Rule knew that where Ink was going to go before Ink even knew where they were going to go. But either way, that's 3 stocks lost for West Virginia. I think we're about to get into game 2 right now. Let's see who they are going to send in, and it is going to be that is Syvet the Byleth. Okay, Byleth, a very, very strong character as well. I feel like somebody who, since MK Lane, picked up the character, a couple months ago, however long it was last year, we started to see this character pop up a little bit more often. Very solid character, a lot of kill power, and a decent neutral as well. And you know what? All they need to do is take 1 stock. Byleth feel better at absolutely just killing you at low percentages than Byleth.
Yeah, this is a pretty solid counter pick character, I'd say, against Zelda. Like, you have neutral be the arrow, can really stop Zelda in her tracks. Obviously, the extra range. The problem is, getting out of the corner. Zelda has such good edge trapping options, and Byleth isn't the fast character. Oh, no way! The shield gets broken, and just like that, Syvet taking a bunch of damage. Nice punish him.
What am I looking at right now? What did I just look at? That first stock was gone. I blinked. I looked away for 2 seconds, and the stock was gone. I look away again. Shield broken, and already at 95%, and Argo's only at 43. Probably gonna be another stock right here. Okay, wait.
Could have been deadly right there. Now landing a hit, but Rule gets out of it immediately. Syvet, unfortunately, unable to follow up exactly as we were seeing from our Zelda player here. And this is the range that Syvet wants to have, wants to try to play. I mean, would play, I would think, a little farther mid to long range against Zelda, because you have that range to work with. But Syvet's playing really close quarters here, which might just be like a symptom of, I need to get this kill and get it fast. And unfortunately, that's just playing right into Zelda's game here. The Phantom Knight's going to be a huge critical factor if you're playing close quarters against the Zelda. Yeah. Whereas Syvet wants to kind of play with that range. That's what Byleth's built for.
Yeah, and you know what? And I think Rule knows exactly where Byleth wants to play and is just stuffing that space out as we see that powerful air come through. 1 stock away from actually taking away 6. And wow, Syvet just gotta take 1. Just gotta take 1. And I think we're seeing some desperation here coming out from Syvet. We've seen a couple of down smashes come as we see that Phantom get the KO, but from Syvet, we saw a lot of, I feel like, desperation down smashes come through. I counted about 3 of them. They're again just trying to take the stock and not really worrying about what the consequences might be if you miss. And to me, again, that just kind of reeks of just desperation. Honestly, that's the best word I could think of. And Rule took complete advantage of that. The one thing about Zelda is one of those characters that you don't think is a big punish character, but really is pretty good at punishing you for missing or choosing bad options, like we're gonna see here.
Yeah,
is the sorry. So yeah, bad option dodge, air dodge again, getting hit with the fire right there off stage, losing your stock at like I think 90 something like that. Zelda is so good at punishing bad mistakes like that.
Right, and then the character off stage that at times doesn't really have the best off stage game, really slow and wants to be grounded, and really Sims didn't have an opportunity to do that. And then that Phantom was just crazy pressure, and then of course once you're over 100%, you have way less invincibility getting off from the corner. That knight's hitting low below the ledge, so you got to really get off the ledge as soon as you can, and unfortunately we didn't see that from Civet. Some really good combos from Rule early percent, and Civet really just kind of was fishing for the kill there, looking to try to end things early instead of playing that slower game. I mean, we saw the arrow like neutral be used maybe 1 or twice right at the beginning, and to be fair, we're on Battlefield, like you don't have a ton of room, which actually played a lot into Rule's favor, I would think. Like, Battlefield is not a bad stage for Zelda at all. And it just doesn't, it's not like an FE or a Callus where Violet can just back and, like, zone you out. This stage, it almost kind of beckons you to get a little closer and fight close quarters. You kind of have to fight that mentality and fight that, try to zone as much as you can, even if that means jumping around and try to, platform camp a little bit. I can definitely do that too. Fortunately, Civet getting outclassed, which means Rule is back for game 3. This Zelda still clinging on to a single stock, and we're going to be seeing the 3rd player of the squad here from West Virginia. It is Simplicity. We got 257th at SmashCon, we believe. Even if we're not sure on that, we are sure that they're running with Pokemon Trader here to take on this Zelda.
I honestly, if I'm Simplicity, I don't know if sticking with Squirtle in this opening portion of the match is the best idea. We saw what Rule can do to stocks, and when you're Squirtle and you're this light, I think opting for something like that's exactly why, because you almost got KO'd right there. I think switching to something like Charizard, now we're seeing the Ivysaur come out just for that bit of survivability, is probably in your best interest, because like we saw, almost lost stock really early.
Yeah, I think you want to be on Ivysaur here for a lot of the time. Oh, wow. Gets run the roll in. I mean, Charizard can definitely do it too, but I think Zelda's just going to be able to combo and hit Zard with way too many projectiles. You do get these early percent combos, but Ivysaur is great at just like throwing out Razor Leaf, being stocky. Forward air is such a good move that can anti-air a lot of what Zelda has to offer and beats out a lot of her frame data in the air. So you kind of want to go for that, and there we go. That's Squirrel opportunity to switch in towards Ivysaur. Looks for the grab, misses it. Once again, Simplicity kind of on the back foot here, running away from the Zelda. Rule, who is chasing down here with Duffy yet again. And this is a fantastic Zelda play here from Kaiser Zelda.
Nobody knows what to do about the Phantom. Sorry, I yelled Phantom there because I saw Simplicity jump onto the platform as soon as that Phantom came out from Rule, and I knew it was going to hit. And it just feels like, this whole West Virginia team has no idea on how to deal with it, and that has 1000% been the MVP or Rule here, as they're sitting on 1 stock and about to take their almost stock 8, I believe, that almost got taken right there.
Yeah, I was wrong earlier when I was like, we're not going to see a 9 or 12 stock taken situation. I'm about to eat my words right now. Rule just needs to take 2 more, and we're going to see exactly that. Remember the days of, someone takes 7 stocks. That's a big record for us, and immediately beaten. The forward throw, not going to be enough to do it at center stage. If it was just at the corner, it probably would have done it. This is an opportunity for Rule to just steal 1 more. Both grabbing at the same time. Just an opportunity to steal 1 more stock away, trying to recover low to avoid the flamethrower, and now playing around the ledge a bit too much. Look at that, so slippery, and then retaliates with the Phantom Knight. Another stock taken. That's 8 in a row here from Rule, who has now done so much of their squad.
Simplicity had the perfect opportunity to take a stock, as they do finally stop this avalanche coming through from Rule. But man, I feel like Simplicity with that Charizard had perfect opportunity to take a stock, and they just got a little bit overzealous and ended up kind of switching stage advantage there. eventually took the stock, which is great. But that is what, 6 stocks with 1 stock left, 8 overall, I believe, for Rule there. That was an amazing opening performance.
Hey man, just remember our predictions. You could have stuck with Kaiser, but instead you went over to West Virginia, and hey, patience pays off for your boy here.
I didn't have my coffee this morning. I need breakfast. That's why the sun was in my eye. I couldn't see who I was picking. That's who it was. But yeah, I did take West Virginia, but I am definitely regretting that. If anyone else plays like Rule did, this is going to be a very quick match. They still have Tempest, the Villager, the Man playing Ridley, and Chaos Virgil, who I'm not sure who's playing. And they do also have Argo the Link as a 5th potential player if they do opt to go with that route. But honestly, I don't think they're going to have to go through all 5 people today.
No, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. There's definitely a solid bench here from Kaiser. Argo was one of their strongest players when we saw them back in week 2, so I wouldn't be surprised if they do bring in Argo maybe for game 2 if they need him, but we haven't seen Chaos Virgil just yet. Tempest, really strong Villager that can be used here, and then the Man could go Ridley or Sora. I would say Sora might be a stronger choice, but really, I don't think does super bad against Pokemon Trainer. Just Ivysaur, I think, is the really biggest issue. And then Charizard's kind of just a better Ridley. And I guess Royal combos, like Ridley, if Ridley plays like super slow, like really campy and like doesn't super commit, and then like punishes, like if you get your punishes down, of course, Ridley can definitely do it. But I would think we're gonna see maybe the Bile of the Village. Probably, I'm gonna go Villager here. Tempest is one of their stronger players when we saw them week 2, and Villager can play that similar game Ivysaur is playing. Sit back, forward air, set up a wall, set up that zoning capability, and whittle down their opponent until they get to Charizard, and they're harder to kill, but you can still at least hit them because they're a bigger body. We're gonna see what we get here as we jump into our next game of this first matchup of the night here. And looks like, instead we're getting a Kazuya.
Wait, y'all had a Kazuya and you waited this to send them out? Oh wait, no, you know what? Never mind. I got the teams wrong. This is the second player for Kaiser University, but still, I would have started with the Kazuya if I'm being honest with you.
I don't remember Kaiser using a Kazuya last time when they played, so I'm curious. Oh no, buffered the down air. Okay, I think that might have been intentional, but I was like, the buffer down air might not have been great. So I'm not entirely sure which player this is just yet because we don't believe we saw the Kazuya last time they played in week 2. But hey, yeah, if you have this in the wings, this is a character you bring out a little earlier, I think.
I would have sent them out first. Oh my goodness. Hey, either way, the Kazuya pick not working out too well right now. We're in Simplicity going absolutely bananas right there, trying to get the water gun edge guard. See the downer coming through. Good recovery. Therefrom, it's probably Chaos Virgil, I want to assume. But either way, Simplicity just completely dominating, getting that Vine Whip, and that is a quick stock for them. They definitely needed that, especially after the beating they took from Rule. Maybe some room to take or to make up a little bit of ground here.
Yeah, we have our mystery player Kazuya here continuing to stay alive and just needs to take 1 stock to at least get West Virginia back into this. But this Squirtle is just comboing this Kazuya, and this, Kazuya, of course, has some of the strongest, if not the strongest punish game in the game. But if you can't land those hits, it doesn't matter. And Kazuya is not the fastest character. Ivysaur and Razor Leaf, Squirtle can combo you, and Charizard can also play a range game. Oh, the forward smash is grabbed! And that's going to be massive damage, but still not enough.
Not gonna lie, wasn't sure who hit who there. As we see Simplicity shield almost get broken, but you know what, that back throw is good. And right now, yeah, Simplicity making up a little bit of that ground that Rule kind of created there. Absolutely dominating this Kazuya from start to finish. And it's not often you see Kazuya really get dominated like this. This is a character who, when it comes to taking stocks, arguably the best in the game at just raw killing power. It's very rare you see someone able to just out Kazuya almost.
Yeah.
FCE,
that should be it.
Yep, that is going to be it. Like you said, the Kazuya pick not working out too well. And again, I think that was probably Chaos Virgil. That's the one player that we have seen from Kaiser, and they didn't have a Kazuya before that. But yeah, Simplicity. When you're fighting a Kazuya, it's very easy to, I guess, get over anxious. You don't want to get hit by anything. You kind of play a little bit too defensively at times. But I think Simplicity just played with that perfect amount of aggression, took advantage of the few weaknesses that Kazuya has. Can't really land that well. Isn't the quickest off stage. Has a good recovery, but can still kind of be exploited off stage. I think Simplicity, just took complete advantage of all of Kazuya's the deficiencies.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And I think the Kazuya just maybe a bit not confident in approaches. Like one of the things you gotta be confident with in playing as Kazuya is having the neutral down, right? And knowing when to go in, like having your shield ready, not getting caught on platforms. Like you can't get to the punish game, then the Kazuya pick doesn't really work out. It's not a character that you can kind of like play very different game styles and like play styles. So you got to be able to play that one way Kazuya really works. And Pokemon Trainer can certainly exploit that, right? Like can play the zoning game, can combo when you need to, and switch out on the fly on that. We really didn't even see any Charizard at all. It just came down to early percent Squirtle combo game, and then Ivysaur, who has just really hard punishes with forward air, with throw into up B. So we'll see. We'll see if we find out who that mystery Kazuya player was at any point. I think we just had a little bit of an issue on our end figuring that out, but nonetheless, that means that things are a lot more even here between these two teams, West Virginia and Kaiser University. Now down to 2 of their last remaining players here, and for Kaiser University, we're not sure who that was, so it could be Argo, could be Chaos Virgil, we have the Man, we have Tempest. It's now a grab bag of players here to pick from.
Yeah, like we have the Ridley or the Sora that could potentially come out, but you said the Sora would probably be the better option, especially against PT. Villager, not the greatest at, take stocks, but definitely has some decent survivability with the how defensive that character is, despite them being pretty light. So that could be an option too. Let's see who it is. It is going to, PT on PT violence. It is Tempest. Not using Jur this time. Okay.
Yeah. I think Tempest, who has a bit of a background playing in the Long Island, like New York area, an area that does that, at least back in the first couple years of Smash Ultimate, had some more Pokemon trainers, and now that's kind of fallen off a little bit. But no surprise to see more of them coming from that area. But it's not a Ditto you see very often these days, really.
Yeah, I really feel like early Smash Ultimate, you saw Pokemon trainers left and right, but despite being a solid character, had a bit of a fall off. Still very, very solid, though, as we are clearly seeing right here. Again, the Ditto, I believe that is Tempest as the darker. Yeah, Tempest is the darker Ivysaur. Simplicity is the brighter Ivysaur. Just in case you are getting confused there, we are seeing Simplicity getting kind of run off stage. Tempest using those Razor Leaves to perfect. And the down just will come through. Oh, and a forward smash on the ledge there. Sorry, I mixed up my words there because I forgot who was hitting who. But Simplicity falling eventually did manage to take off quite a few stocks, making up for a little bit of the ground that room made up. But now that was Tempest with the Pokemon Trainer. West Virginia now has we saw Civet, we saw Simplicity, and we saw Ink. And I think they're down to just Thick Roll or Galmon, which could be a hero.
Yeah, we're not entirely sure who Frickerl plays. Gomon, hero essentially. Yeah. We're now we are figuring out exactly how these teams kind of waver out to one another here.
Yeah,
so we're gonna see a little bit of this replay here, which was a blink and you miss it kind of game.
Yeah. That was really, really, really quick. What Tempest came in, did exactly what they needed to do. Again, I kind of got mixed up because I forgot who was hitting who for a second. But I didn't expect the Pokemon Trainer to come through. Didn't know that they had the Pokemon Trainer in the bag. But you know what? A very good secondary to have. A very, very solid character. Definitely one of the higher tier characters in the game. I think Villager and Trainer is a good 1 and 2 kind of combination. I feel like they can cover for the other characters' deficiencies quite a bit. So again, shouts to Tempest for taking that stock. And we are just down to I believe, one last player on West Virginia. Again, not sure who it is. If it is Galmon playing Hero, who I think it might be. Hero, a character we haven't seen yet, I believe, on broadcast. A very divisive character, to say the least, able to take your stock at 0 if they get a critical hit, but also if they're not getting those lucky hits or they're not getting the lucky rolls with down B, this character can struggle. It is you can be good with the character, but it is a very luck-based character. Let's just kind of call it what it is. So this could go, if it's a hero, this can go really either way.
Hero is definitely a character that actually seems to have some kind of responses to a lot of the meta characters right now. Like some people have even floated he being a good pick against Steve in a lot of
Really?
ways.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that I've read before, that I've heard before. Just
I
because,
gotta see that one.
yeah, just because you have opportunities to kind of break through bricks with forward air and a lot of his, really dumb spells. But you can, like, hey, if you're going to farm mats, I'm gonna farm spells. I'm gonna go through and power myself up and take advantage of that downtime. We're not gonna see Steve here, but that I've seen here. Oh, it's not even. It's gonna be DK. See, that's one of the things about Collegiate Smash 2 is that sometimes you literally have no idea who someone's gonna go, even if you know the characters they play often. Though to be fair, West Virginia is the team that we had the least amount of information on out of all these teams tonight. Usually you have somewhat of an idea of what characters they're going to play, and then you end up getting blindsided by another pick, a secondary, a tertiary, or a random pick here. And for right now, this pick that we did not expect is working out pretty well here for Goman.
Yeah, Donkey Kong, another character that's fantastic in crew battles, kind of in that same vein as like a K. Rool or something like that. Just their ability to take stock quickly and to survive is really one of the best in the game. Despite them not being a great character, they can get edge guarded like we almost saw right there, though. So again, yeah, did not expect a Donkey Kong pick, but I do like where it's going. But we are seeing now where Donkey Kong can struggle, and that is with landing, and that is with being edge guarded, being a heavy character. This is a character very, very easy to get combos on, and Ivysaur and Squirtle combo are really good at getting those combos, as we see that Ubby coming through from Galmon kind of shutting me up right there.
Yeah, DK is certainly a character that can respond in tow.
Oh, no.
As long as you get that first hit. Wow, this is... Woo! Okay, definitely lighting a fire here on the team right now. Now Kaiser's going to have to look hard here. They got to get this kill on this DK quick because they want to at least go to their last player. That'd be a slight advantage, but DK can delete stocks really quickly. And again, we're on Battlefield, a stage that, DK can ladder a little bit, has a lot less, your opponent has a lot less room to get away from DK, and so those combos are going to land a little quicker, going to land a little earlier, going to be getting grabbed a bit more. But this is where DK struggles, is landing against a character like Ivysaur, who just can cover DK's pretty somewhat poor aerial drift here.
Yeah, anything DK wants to do basically just gets covered by either Vine Whip, down air, like you saw right there, or up air if they want to drift to the side. You have Razor Leaf for that. Yeah, that was just a really tough position for Galmon to be in, as Western Virginia is now down to their last stock. But you know what? We've seen someone today take off, 6 stocks, while only having 1 left. So you know what? This is definitely not out of the realm of possibility. But oh wow, that back air almost hitting the wrong way. Almost could have been it. But yeah, definitely not out of the realm of possibility here, as we see Galmon take that last stock, or that second last stock there.
Definitely out of the realm of possibility, but when you're dealing with an Ivysaur, that's inevitable to come here. Once you get the opportunity, DK can start to get a little bit mashed on here, and here comes the Ivysaur. So now you got to be really careful with your approaches as DK. That shield's going to be critical, but DK has that ground speed against Ivysaur to be able to shield and run into damage and punish you. So as much as DK may not be able to juggle as hard as Ivysaur can juggle DK, you're going to be able to get a lot off. And Ivysaur is now in kill percent here. Absolutely, this is going to be really do or die here for Kaiser potentially if they can't clean up this DK now.
And that giant punch, that could have been the key to victory right there, but pulling the trigger on it the wrong way, and hopefully that does not come back to bite them in the butt. We're going to see a down air come through. Recovery there from Galmon, avoiding that down air. Getting an up air in response. Okay, charge art switch. Probably going to see a couple pairs coming through. Yep, there it is. Kind of fighting heavy with heavy. Oh, broken shield right there. Almost getting that shield broke right there. And one thing I am noticing from Galmon is they're not really on to try to get any, 2 frames or trying to really edge guard or anything. Oftentimes just opting to let their opponent get back on stage. Oh, that's it.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? Yeah. Getting their opponent back on stage, jumping on the platform, and taking advantage with that up air. Galmon still alive with 1 stock left. Again, we saw Rool take out a whole bunch with 1 stock, so this is definitely doable. But with DK, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because as easy as it is for DK to erase your entire life without you even realizing what's going on, we saw why DK struggles right there. If whoever comes out next for West Virginia, if they're a character that has a good or sorry, for Kaiser State, if they're a character that has a good up air, has good juggling tools, whoever it is, whether that's Sora or Link or whoever that is, we might see DK struggle a lot. But again, it's too early to say for sure whether or not this is over, because Donkey Kong could take your stock at like 30% if you're not careful.
Yeah, this is really a bad situation. Having a DK as your anchor, though, is that you can get counterpicked super hard, and you don't even if your team doesn't have too many players left, like you kind of have a feeling like, okay, like at least one of my last players can change to another character, and of course you have more players left on your team. You can just put in whatever player you need, and with one stock, DK can be explosive, but DK's can get combo, can get whittled away at range. Really has to be, on point and not getting hit and landing the combo starters. The problem with that is DK has put his body on the line, has some super armor options, but can in a crew battle situation, you want to avoid taking damage as much as you can here. You're essentially going to a singles fight where you're down 3-1 in stocks, and DK can explode on you with a lot of different ways to get a combo going, and can even jank you like off stage. But DK can edge guard it pretty hard. If he's not on stage, he's going to get juggled while landing. And all that kind of stuff can really start to boil over on a character who really relies on getting stuff done at low and mid sense and killing before a character is like all the way at a combo percentage and can play a really slower out of range game. Once you're at high percent and you're just looking for these hard reads, DK can start to have some trouble unless you land like up B, grounded up B with armor, right? Like that, that'll be solid. That's going to kind of like poor man's Rob side B, right? But like if it lands, it'll kill. But the DK is kind of going to be looking for it, and you kind of playing around that because DK's kill options can be limited when you're at high percent. So we'll see how that goes. It's still definitely doable. We've seen players, 3-0 someone real quick, and this is exactly what we want to see here, are players that are able to anchor and be clutch when they need them to be. Now, Galmon in that position. Can they do it with a single stock on DK and turn things around here at the final moment for West Virginia?
Honestly, if any character can do it, it's definitely Donkey Kong for a lot of the reasons that we kind of talked about, just can erase your stock at any moment in time. Whoever Kaiser State University out, I think the key for Galmon is you're going to have to take risks. Like at this point, you have one stock left. You're playing a kind of high risk, high reward character. You have to take risk. You have to kind of go maybe off stage, try to get those early spikes, try to get those down, whether that's down air, forward air. Donkey Kong is like 4 spikes, like down B, side B, whatever the hell that option is. I think you have to kind of take those risks because you can't afford to have what just happened to happen again, especially if I think it's going to be the man coming out, probably playing Sora. Sora, they're a character that can juggle you for, honestly, it feels like minutes at a time sometimes. So and has a great recovery on top of that. So I really feel like you're going to have to try to get them to like that 70 or so % range and just try to get those spikes, because on stage you're really not going to be winning. Oh no, they're actually opting for Ridley instead. Okay, Dak, how do you feel about this one?
I think Ridley does actually really good against DK, but again, the problem is Ridley is so light that he can die really early to DK. So, but Fireball, like really just Fireball and Nair, as you're seeing here, really good options against DK, but you have to be careful because you're going to die early. You really honestly want to run away the whole time in this matchup. So I'm surprised that you're seeing the man play really close quarters. I would just be air camping as much as you can and trying to, whittle away at DK Fireball with Nair and getting DK off stage as soon as possible. Punishing, try to use side B when you can, because you can work that in here and punish DK with it, and that's a perfect way to get DK guaranteed off stage.
And that's a nice platform read there for the men, getting that up smash. And we see the edge guard here, opting to let them back on stage. Oh, yeah, you have no invincibility. Okay, not taking advantage of it. Galmon is going to go back and play a little bit safe. At 100%, that forward smash definitely would have KO'd if it managed to land. B, not quite enough, and that Nair, that might do it. Oh no, still have their jump left. Oh, that's it. I lied. I am lying to the people.
Yeah, still got it in the man. Look for a back air when I think a reverse Nair might have done it instead. There. Dash attack should be enough though. That is the underrated kill move in this game, and the man will clean it up. Kaiser will be up 1-0 in the series, and hey man, my Kaiser prediction working out great, and they're getting it off the back of the Ridley player, who is essentially why I picked Kaiser to win this. So I'm feeling pretty good on that prediction, and I like that counter. Not necessarily a counter pick, but I think in general Ridley just has not a bad time dealing with DK. Slow things down, and of course we have a huge margin of error. Or the man could have afforded to lose a stock here and there, but this is again where DK struggles, is landing situation. And dash tag is so good. It's such an explosive move that you almost think Ridley's not going to get there in time, despite Ridley having actually pretty solid ground speed. It's the air speed where he struggles, but that combination of the run speed plus the dash attack, you're able to get to the ledge or get to these landing options quicker than you might expect, and you can see that Elman was not expecting it.
So now West Virginia going down 1-0 right, or 0-1 in this set. I'm wondering what adjustments they are going to make. We saw how good Simplicity did. Galmon with that Donkey Kong didn't do the greatest. I'm wondering maybe if they switch Thick Roll in. We saw Civet as well with the Byleth kind of getting absolutely decimated by Rule there. I'm wondering if we're going to see that switch. Like we've seen in other weeks, we've seen teams get completely destroyed and then make a couple switches, whether that's an order switch, a character switch, putting in a sub in, and then completely flipping the script and maybe not necessarily winning, but even though this game was relatively close, but they may not have won after the switches, but they made that game a lot closer. We've seen game 1, a team win by 9, and then only win by like 2 in the second game though. So we're gonna see what adjustments West Virginia makes here right after this break. Please, everyone, stay tuned.
Welcome back, everybody, to Week 6 of the NACE Star League Fall 2022 season here for Smash Ultimate Collegiate Cruise. I am Dax, still alongside these as we jump into the second set of our first match of the night between Kaiser and West Virginia. Kaiser University taking the first game of the day with a close but still well-earned victory in that first set off the heels of a nice Ridley win against the DK at the end. But it all comes down to this potentially as West Virginia needs to win this to hold on to their undefeated record here in this season.
And yeah, like we talked about it right before we went to break. I'm just wondering what adjustments West Virginia is going to make in this second set. But you know what? One adjustment that they are not making, we actually got word that the first match we saw in the previous set is actually going to be the first match in this one as well. Going to be sending out Rule from Kaiser State University against Inc. the Lucas. Again, the exact same thing we saw in that first set. Inc. did pretty well against Zelda, actually managed to take off 2 stocks, and then we saw Rule after that just completely decimate 2 other people on the West Virginia team. So maybe they just think that the Lucas, made a couple mistakes that they could switch over now, and maybe that 1 stock difference is now a 1 stock advantage for them in this one. We will definitely see, but the power of adjustments from game to game is just so powerful. So I'm just wondering if this goes the exact same way. I'm wondering what they're going to do after this, because I think they sent out Civet second against Rule, who kind of just was here and was gone in the blink of an eye. So I'm wondering if this goes the exact same way. Are they going to send in Galmon, Donkey Kong? Probably not. Are they going to just send in Simplicity, who also did pretty well? They also have Thick Roll, their mystery fifth player too. Maybe that's the X factor here. It's just kind of curious that they're sending in Lucas again first.
I'll definitely have to check it out. And of course, everybody be sure to make sure that you are running on Duncan, just like NACE Star League here. Of course, NACE Star League runs on Duncan. Make sure to click the Twitch panel below to find a Duncan near you. I mean, I know, Mies, you probably needed a coffee of some kind at some point, considering your prediction. Maybe these players do as well. I'm more of a chocolate frosted with sprinkles kind of guy to get my day going, so that's what I would go with. And of course, we have ROTC become a leader for life. Be sure to check them out as well. And of course, thanks to all of our partners and sponsors here at the NACE Star League. Yeah, going back to your point, I think the Civet pick potentially maybe not the best time, but who knows? I would be surprised if these teams run the same lineup, like player for player, right? Like, okay, it's one thing to run the same starters. Like, okay, the teams maybe have this, their starters and their anchors set down pat, but I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing the 5th players come in, their bench kind of, tapped a little bit there, and maybe changing up their second or their second, third players potentially. As Kaiser's going into this, they've been, backs against the wall before, right? They don't have an undefeated record going into this, so they've definitely learned from their first. I mean, we saw the week 2. Old Dominion got the best of them, and now they're all the way here, almost a month later, essentially a month later, and performing a lot better and holding on to a better record. So clearly they've had some learning to do. Their adaptation's been there. They've improved. And now I'm like wondering, okay, do they just play the same lineup and see if West Virginia, makes a move? If the onus is on them, or do they preemptively make a move on their side?
Honestly, I think that's might be a great idea for Kaiser, with the exception of Chaos, Virgil, the Kazuya. Really, everybody did incredibly well on Kaiser State University. Don't mean to call out Chaos, Virgil there, but everyone on that team did a fantastic job. And on West Virginia's side, it's just like, or from Kaiser, it's like, I'm going to keep doing the same thing until you learn how to deal with it. And if I'm Rule, again, I'm going in with the exact same game plan. Did a decent job against Lucas, and as soon as they finished off the Lucas, again, we saw 3 stock on Simplicity, no, 3 stock on Civet, and I think took 2 or 3 stocks off of 2 stocks off of Simplicity there. So again, if I'm them, I'm throwing the exact same game plan until you figure out how to deal with it, because nobody knew what to do about Phantom. Not a single person on that team knew what to do about Phantom. So maybe they or talk about it now. Maybe they, in the 5-minute break, watch some YouTube videos on how to deal with Zelda Phantom on Wi-Fi. I don't know what the case is, but yeah, they need to figure out what to do about that.
They really do, and I think a Zelda that can show that they're really strong with the character can be such a nuisance. Like, I mean, we're many years into Ultimate now. Yeah. But I have to take into consideration that there are still so many matchups in the game, and a lot of players might not have been playing the whole 4 years, so there are still characters that can matchup check you if you have been playing the whole 4 years, you don't know how to play against the majority of the cast, then that's kind of on you. But I think especially in a Wi-Fi situation, Zelda is one of those characters that you don't see too often and might match check you for sure. And we can see that, the Phantom's getting the best of you. You're not able to really bait out, Naira's Love as often as you would like to. You're getting hit by that really hard. Neutral B's an issue, Side B's an issue. Like, all those kinds of things can really start to stack. And Zelda is a character that is almost like a gatekeeper kind of character. Like, beats the characters that she's worse than really hard. The characters that are kind of better than her, she can struggle with. And if you don't know that matchup, then that is really kind of thrown out of the window. So it is important to, like, field your best characters and also have the right stages as well. I think we saw it as Zelda on like Battlefield, right? That's a stage that Zelda I think does really strong on.
Definitely.
Where it's hard to get away from Phantom. It's hard to get away from her projectiles. You don't have a lot of room to kind of counter zone her, which a lot of the time is what you want to do in the matchup. But we're gonna see how this shakes out here as we go into our second set of this matchup. It is again the Zelda versus Lucas. You've seen Ink come out once again for West Virginia, and we have Rule once again here for Kaiser with the Zelda.
And we see that Phantom right off the bat. We mentioned it earlier. I really feel like no one on West Virginia was really able to deal with it in that first set that these two played. Oh, geez. We saw Phantom at the ledge every single time, and whenever Ink would react to it, we saw a punish. Like right there. Okay, and you know what? Held shield didn't quite get that forward smash Rule did, but still, wow. Pinned Ink at the corner and got that Phantom almost right on cue. As we're going to see Edge. Okay, no edge guard there. And PK Freeze coming out, couldn't really do much off of it, and now we're seeing Rule start to cook again. Zelda on the platform, really smart, covered the jump and used a dash attack there to cover the ledge, so didn't really give Ink many options, but they still managed to avoid it.
Yeah, Rulu's been doing a really solid job here of just making it almost impossible to punish their moves, right? Like, have the Phantom ready to go. They're backing up and needing to, and getting even caught here. Like, this is again something we saw in the match prior, is that Lucas really can't edge guard Zelda effectively without going off stage, right? And trying to preemptively taking out the up B. Otherwise, Zelda gets on for free, and that get up is punish Rulu. Another massive big win there on the stock. Has a massive lead here, and already starting things strong here for Kaiser.
But once again, the Phantom taking that stock, and even if it's not taking stock, it's the catalyst that Rule is using to either get a grab or a forward smash, dash attack, whatever the case is. And once again, just no one is able to keep bringing it up, but I'm going to keep bringing it up until it changes. Just no one knows what to do about it. As you see the Phantom there blocking that PK fire, and right now Ink again getting put in that corner, but good get up attack to make up a little bit of room, and going for hardest of hard reads there with the forward smash. Okay, you know what? I respect the attempt, but maybe not the best option there. Zelda has a multitude of ways to kind of maneuver around that, like you saw right there with that up B.
Rulu again landing up the grab, and that will clean things up. Rulu with a massive start to this game two, this set two, as they take 3 stocks off of Ink. And surprising from West Virginia that they field that same matchup, I think, because we saw Rulu start to get a little bit of an edge the first time they played. Like, at the beginning, things were close, but then Rulu started to, run away with that. And now this time, it was a complete routing right there, a 3 stock on the Lucas. So already, West Virginia down 3 stocks. Rulu picking things up real quick here for the Kaiser side.
Yeah, we saw. Yeah, I didn't expect this to go the way it went, because out of everybody on West Virginia, it was Ink who absolutely did best. Took off 2 stocks and honestly could have taken off a third if Rulu just kind of didn't figure out the matchup kind of mid-set there. Now we've seen what Rulu can do to the rest of the team. This is the one person on West Virginia that I thought had a chance really to take 3 stocks, and we saw them take 3 stocks off of Civet earlier. We saw them do really well against Simplicity. I don't know what I'm doing right now if I am West Virginia. I probably don't send in Civet again. And they're sending in, is this thick roll? This might be thick roll. Either way, Roy, I think a way better option than anyone else that they had on that roster there. Able to rush Zelda down. Oh no, this is Civet. Okay, this is Civet again, just switching to the Roy. I do like the Roy pick over the Byleth. Maybe I don't anymore after that. Never mind. Jesus. That was an incredible stock there from Rulu.
Rulu is just absolutely dominating so far. This is what we see a lot sometimes in Collegiate Smash, we have these players that are just stars on their team and make it so difficult for their opponents to come back because of how much damage they do on the outset.
Oh no!
Civet.
Oh no!
Oh, I think just running off stage and getting buffered air dodge. I'm not entirely sure what the option was there, but unfortunately they're going to SD, giving Rulu an opportunity to potentially make this a 6-stock lead. They've already taken 5. Civet will punish there with the reverse up B, but now Rulu can just slow things down.
Yep.
Civet not going off stage to try to counter that. I mean, so far, there hasn't a player that's really been able to stop Rulu from safely recovering almost every single time. And no, Civet again dropping low. I mean, that looked like it was a potential fast fall there that might have been unintentional. Maybe it was a connection issue, not entirely sure. But that's 2 SDs for Civet. That's really, really rough. And West Virginia trying to field the same lineup that they had in the first set is actually doing worse for them now. They're down more stocks than they were in the previous.
And yeah, a point I brought up earlier is changing up your lineup, even if you're staying the same characters, can go a really long way in crew battles. But then yeah, opting to go Link into Civet once again, and yeah, like you said, it's going worse for them. You need to see SDs in any capacity, even if you're the one on the positive end of it. If it's your opponent, you hate to see your opponent do that, because as a competitor you want to beat your opponent at their absolute best, and you know Civet has to be kicking themselves for having those 2 SDs. But regardless, that first stock that wasn't an SD, Rulu just completely obliterated a Civet stock. So honestly, even without those SDs, I would have expected that match to go a similar way, maybe not 3-stock, because it is hard to 3-stock Roy with how good they are at killing you. But man, you really hate to have a victory like that. But hey, if you're Kaiser, you'll take that.
I mean, Kaiser feeling really good about this. I'm sure Prediction is not. I'm feeling great. Unfortunately, you can't change it twice, man. Unfortunately, you cannot change it twice. I hate to inform you there, but yeah, this is now a situation where West Virginia really has to dig deep against a player who has already created such a large. I mean, we've seen players again take stocks back and make it close. I believe it was a couple weeks ago where we had a couple teams, like there was a massive lead by 7 or 8 stocks, and it went down to the last 2 players. So that's definitely not unheard of, but there hasn't been a response from West Virginia yet. We don't know if they're going to change their lineup just yet. And the Zelda Rulu is now sitting not on 1 stock, not 2 stocks, but 3 stocks. So that means Rulu doesn't really have to change too much. There's no pressure really at this point. They can still easily take another 2, 3, if not more stocks on what they have ready to go.
And who is West Virginia sending in next? They are going to opt with this is Simplicity switching off of the PT and going for Diddy Kong instead. Diddy Kong, a character who I feel like has risen up the tier list recently, a very, very solid character. I really feel like in the past year, people have really just started to realize it's still very, very good in this game. But the one thing I think about Rulu is they do not care about where you are on the tier list. If you do not know how to deal all the Zelda shenanigans, they are going to obliterate your stocks, like we're seeing. Like we almost saw right there if that forward air potentially landed. Either way, Simplicity just being kept in a state of disadvantage for what feels like 20 seconds now.
This is this is the Rulu show all day. Let's see if we get another entire team taken out by a single player. I think Simplicity might be able to stop the bleeding, but it's not going to be by that much at all. As Rulu is just at the moment destroying West Virginia. Simplicity loses another stock, or at least their first stock. So Rulu, there's the other stock. I spoke just a bit too soon, but finally it came through. Caster's Curse, but Caster's Prophecy maybe this time. As Rulu is now stacking it up, looking to take 9 stocks in a row here against West Virginia University.
Rulu's the greatest player of all. MK Leo who? Rulu's the greatest player of all time. This is an absolute domination coming through from them again with Zelda, a character you didn't expect to take away this many stocks. Hey, this was like a Kazuya, this is like a Joker or a Steve, and they took off 9 stocks, I would definitely believe you. But for the broadcaster today, if you told me that Rulu was going to take off, what, 9 it's about to be, I definitely would not believe you. Just complete domination. And you brought up a really good point earlier, Dak. You said Zelda is a big matchup check. If you do not know what to do against Phantom, against Disfire, against whatever the hell else they want to talk to you, this is a character that can absolutely dominate you like we are seeing now. That is 9 stocks without even dropping 1 for Rulu, and prediction, man. Oof, big L on my end. But are we gonna see 12 coming from Rulu here? Are we gonna see 12?
Oh, as I was thinking, hey, like I missed last week. There was a game 3 that was set 3 for one of the sets. We're getting through the season, and these teams are closer and closer in skill. The real crowd rises to the top, but yet still we're seeing dominating performances. This, in the second half of the season here, that's coming from Rulu this time. This Diddy Kong was just swinging, and this is honestly something that you can separate good players from great players. Great players from good players is that oftentimes you're just waiting for your opponent's swing. You're waiting for your opponent to make a mistake. We're seeing a lot of the time their simplicity was just throwing out a lot of options and we're just shielding them and then responding, right? And just getting the hit afterwards and playing the out of shield game. Especially against Diddy, who, if you're not monkey flipping a lot, like you want to just be sitting in shield a lot of the time against Banana. And if Diddy's going to start swinging on your shield, Zelda's going to respond in tow immediately with an up B, with a switch spot forward air if they're going to land it, with a grab. And that's what Rulu was doing. That's how Rulu was shining there as Zelda. Now they are sitting in a situation where they could sweep the entirety of West Virginia University here after last set being unable to do so. Coming off still a very strong performance, they're doing better this time here. Maybe arguably because of the character swaps that West Virginia's trying to make in an effort to give themselves some more success. It's actually almost backfired here because the Zelda is just, Rulu is doing so well with the Zelda on every adaptation that West Virginia's making.
And yet, I think they just have Galvan left on the West Virginia side, who we saw use Donkey Kong earlier. DK Zelda, not necessarily the matchup I would want to be playing if I'm Donkey Kong. We see how good Zelda is at juggling even lighter characters. When you're a character like DK, who basically everyone in this cast can juggle for free, it's not going to be a very fun time for you. Doesn't have a good time off stage, having to deal with Din's Fire or, again, Phantom, which no one's able to deal with, apparently. But, like, I really feel like this might be a wrap. I kind of want to see 12. I know my prediction was wrong. I want to see them take 12. At this point, that's what I'm betting on.
Well, we definitely always want to see very strong performances there. I mean, you bet one wrong way today, so I don't know if I want to bet the same way with you. It might counter.
That's not canon. Don't worry.
It's not canon. Okay. With that, yeah, we love to see these very dominant performances here. Really, though, it's going to be tough for West Virginia because if they drop this to this Zelda, they're not going to be able to respond. Right? That'll be it. That's the end of the set. Yeah. That'll also be the end of West Virginia's undefeated streak, right? Whereas Kaiser, I believe, will then move to a 5-1 record, right? So, very solid squad. We saw them play Old Dominion and drop week 2. Look at this improvement right now, right? Yeah. Like Kaiser putting up a much better fight here. The Rulu, the Zelda has just been popping off. Will we see the whole roster this time? Who knows? West Virginia now, they're playing, I believe they'll either play Gomon or Frickroll here. I believe their last two players.
Frickroll, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So we might see. I don't know. Do we see that the DK come back out here? I think that's a really risky play.
Yeah.
Up against the Zelda. We're about to find out as we jump into our game 4. It is the DK indeed.
And yeah, this character, DK, a character that will get jumped to oblivion like we're going to see right here. Oh, no, got a jab buck on that platform, too. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, going to get combo to really to one side of the stage and back here. Doesn't have the speed or the air mobility to deal with all the stuff Zelda wants to throw out at you. And we're kind of seeing right here, all Zelda really has to do is just run away and keep you at arm's length. And it's really going to be hard for DK to get anything going. But if Galwan can get their hands on Zelda, we're going to see a stock fly completely off the board, but just getting that hand on them, that's the harder. Jeez. Off stage right here. Phantom. Can't do anything. Try to get that up air. Trying to read a jump. Couldn't quite get it, though. Ooh, an empty hop grab. I love that empty hop grab.
Yeah, and that's such a good check there. Now you know, okay, the DK's willing to sit and shield longer than they need to. Zelda can start playing around with that. They can start using that phantom pressure a little more. They can look for grabs a little more often because they know this DK is more willing to sit in a defensive position than they might need to. And that's just really worked out great here for Rulu, who is just dominating right now. Look at that, just trying to mix a little bit here. Doesn't get it. But look at that. The parry comes out. Gomon having some trouble against Rulu, who is just dominating right now and is looking to take 12 stocks in a row. Something we didn't expect to see tonight, but
nope.
Mies The dominant performance just keep coming through.
And yeah, and again, I would not have expected this coming through from Zelda, but Rulu definitely shutting me up here, putting on a performance for the ages. Almost lost their shield there, but is about to take this stock if they can't deal with Phantom. Okay. Galmon on the ledge right there. Another Phantom coming through, but Galmon doing a good job of hitting Zelda before the Phantom could come out and managing to finally take a stock from Rulu. That is what, 4th and 4 matches in. Only 1 stock taken as they take a stock right back, and now West Virginia only down to their last life, and Rulu about to take 12, which is incredible.
Well, we know now that
God.
Rulu can bleed here, but will it be enough for Galmon to completely swing this in their favor? Galmon now has 1 stock up against 11. It would be an absolute miracle for West Virginia to come back, as Kaiser looking to go 5-1 in the regular season so far, off the back of an absolutely spectacular performance from Rulu tonight, who is stacking it up right now and keeping Galmon at bay. The up air lands and looking to go hard with the up B, just barely out of range, but still can't get reversed by Galmon, who finally breaks through and cracks the armor once again, breaks through that defense. Rulu now down with a single stock. Galmon has to get this done, has to get it done now. They have any chance of surviving, and I think that chance has been eliminated as Kaiser takes it 2-0 this matchup.
Rulu, the absolute MVP, hands down, one of the best performances we've seen this entire season, up there with people like Copel and Frostbite on Northwood and other players seen take 10, 11, 12 stocks, and now Rulu can put themselves in a 12 stock Hall of Fame, one of the few people to do that. And again, I keep bringing this up, doing that with Zelda is absolutely incredible. So big shout outs to Kaiser State. And man, if I'm Virginia moving down from 3-1, okay, have a good record, not like they're winning or anything like that, but I'm just so shocked. We didn't really see many adjustments. We saw Civet go from Byleth to Roy, cool. We saw Simplicity go from Trainer to Diddy Kong, okay, cool. But again, just not switching your order, and again, I keep bringing it up, but that is such a big thing, this changing Rulu is going to be looking at from match to match. But if you're going to go in the same order, they know exactly what to expect, and they took full advantage of that there. Oh man,
absolutely. And we're going to take advantage of some replays here brought to us by, of course, Naystar League here, and we're going to be seeing hopefully all a bit of replay action. There it is right there. We got to check it on the lobby first, of course.
Exactly.
We got to make sure we're checking that out. But here's a lot of these, and they're just going to be throughout the set here. This is just going to be a big Rulu highlight video at first, because they were able to get through so many players until finally Simplicity, I believe, took them out. No. And then from there, we had, of course, the PT Ditto that came through all the way to Galmon, who made it all the way at the end. Gets spiked. Yeah, this was looking a lot more doable at the beginning. Look at how much pressure. And the punish game, I think, is really the critical thing from Rulu, right? Like, especially in a game like Ultimate, you gotta be like on top of your punish game, because in this game you can lose those opportunities really quick. And I feel like Rulu barely missed any opportunity to punish. Look at that, staying right out of grab range there to punish with a back air, the sweet spot. Nonetheless, another on the sweet spot forward air that time. I'm sure it's on DK, but Rulu was just, full ahead that entire matchup, both sets.
And honestly, you brought up a really good point that I didn't even think about. I don't think Rulu dropped like a single punish. Every single time their opponent pushed a button they were supposed to push, we saw either a grab into up air, we saw a neutral air, we saw, again, Phantom, who was just played an absolute vital role in every single one of those games. But yeah, every single time their opponent pushed someone, whether that was an attack, a bad air dodge, like we saw with Civet off stage. We saw that last stock, actually. We saw Galmon use a forward air that got beat out by Rulu's forward air, and that's how they lost to Civet. But yeah, that punish game was absolutely just on point. Barely dropped anything. If you are not dropping punishes, you're probably not going to lose anytime soon.
Yeah, really not. Like, that's, again, a lot of the things that'll separate a good from a great player, great from a good player, is having that punish game ready to go. Especially as we move forward throughout this, the meta in Ultimate, which, the game's been out now for essentially 4 years, right? Jeez. The neutral has to be down, your fundamentals have to be down, but the punishes, you can't be dropping punishes. A lot of characters really live or die on their punish game, and I think Zelda is absolutely one of those characters where Zelda doesn't have the strongest neutral, punishes so hard. If you're able to master that part of her character, it can really take you very far. And certainly we saw that absolutely from Lulu, but I don't want to at least discount their neutral game as well, because you could see how they're playing out of range a lot of the time, like weaving in and out of characters' burst ranges, able to punish. You can't get those punishes unless your neutral is on point. One leads into the other. And some players, I think, kind of forget that, where they're able to, like, all right, I'm going to keep looking for a punish, keep looking for a comp till it lands, and you end up getting, playing a style where your blinders are up, right? And you're not actually getting those, clean opportunities for yourself by having a solid neutral, by having solid fundamentals. Rulu is certainly a player who's not in that category. It was, across the board, very good for them, and it was great to see them play.
But we are going to have a quick interview here with Kaiser State University. I definitely have some questions to ask them after that dominant performance. And we have Tempest. Tempest, how are you doing, my friend?
All right, thank you. Thank you for asking. Good to be here.
Man, so how are you all? Well, that last game, you all basically got a free break. You guys got to go to lunch, have a nice dinner. What has Rulu dominated everybody there? But how are you all feeling after completely just wiping the floor with your opponent?
We're feeling pretty good, pretty amazing. It's feel awkward because I didn't know I was gonna do all of that, but it feels pretty fun.
Nice, and we actually saw y'all on the broadcast about a month ago in week 2, and y'all dropped to Old Dominion. What adjustments have y'all made since then? You've had a really solid run throughout the season since then, and have recorded a ton of wins. Like, what adjustments, what learnings have you had since that week to put you in this position in the regular season?
I think we just have a good self of awareness. When every time we finish a competition, we kind of get comfortable with the matchups, and we do vault reviews to see what we need to improve and whatnot, and kind of basically go from there. And hopefully we're doing a good job and willing to improve.
So, like, kind of jumping off of that question there, obviously you all have improved as a team as these weeks have gone by, but do you feel as if you've individually improved just as individual players as the season has gone on?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, I could definitely feel like we've been improved individually.
Nice. And do you think there are any schools potentially that you want to face off against? Maybe do you want some revenge? Do any other teams you're kind of keeping an eye on? Is there anything you're looking forward to in the rest of the season as you're trying to close things out?
We definitely want to have a rematch against EU. Kind of slipped away. They're a really great team. Very talented. However, we were pretty upset when we lost, and we definitely want to face them one more time, and hopefully things will be different.
Well, if you all play like you played today, then honestly, I would be afraid of being ODU right now. But Kaiser State University, thank you so much for speaking with us. You have a great rest of your week, and congratulations on getting this W today.
Thank you.
So,
all right,
that was Tempest and Rulu from Kaiser State. Rulu, like, again, basically beat the entire team on their own. It feels like everyone else a nice little break, getting to sit around and just watch that domination. And I really like their attitude going in. A lot of teams would be very upped and very hyped up to be 5-1, but I like their attitude. It's like, you know what, cool. We've been here before. They act like they've done it before. They understand what they've, could have done better in that first match they actually did lose against ODU. And honestly, yeah, like I said, if we keep playing like this, there are very few teams I see standing in their way.
Absolutely. And the only thing that's standing in our way from the second match of the night is a quick break. So don't go anywhere. More of week 6 here at NACE Star League. The fall 2022 season is coming your way on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
I really thought that was going to be the stock, but instead, here comes that fatal. Once again, DD Rocco goes in quick, and Murr, a huge speed boost. Oh, angle check, able to find one. Oh, maybe a no. Wow! What a shot from Murr to seal the deal here on round 9.
And everybody, this is now last stock game number 3. Can Silver Fox clean it up? That would be it.
Nothing cares.
Oh no. Oh no.
This is it! Everybody's being scattered. So many angles to check. If you're fan up a bonk is on 3. Hold on strong for the team through the wall. Take down base. 4 in a row for your main AR. Make it 5 in a row for Bonk. 6 HP. Barely staying alive now. Bounce to the nade. Locks down the kill for Edison. 2v4 the retake. So far, so good. Up top of danger is going to be Sko. He is the danger!
Cincinnati doing anything possible to try to get right back, and they do. Push over 1, going for the redirect straight down. Is that just in? Oh, he gets the double down first. I have no idea how he finds it. For Western Kentucky will find it up. Shot down tight angle. Oh, angling along the goal line. Can't get it done.
Production, clip it. Production, clip this whole thing.
All the way down, and Morale will add a 3rd on the board.
Hello everybody and welcome back to week 6 of NACE Star League. Here to take a look at the schedule. Tuesdays, Overwatch 2 now just came out, and League of Legends. On Wednesdays, COD and Valorant. Today is the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate portion, and tomorrow we have CSGO. We just saw an incredible match from Kaiser State University and Western Virginia with Rulu absolutely decimating the team, and now we have another one that is probably going to be an intense match. It's Oakland University that is 3-1 against Northwood University, who was 4-0, and honestly the team that I think both of us think has a really good chance at winning this entire tournament deck.
Yeah, there's our predictions right there. Of course, Northwood getting the pick from both of us. This is our predictions for seeing them last time. I believe we saw Northwood back in week 4, just 2 weeks ago, where they had a solid showing. Actually, both of these teams played week 4. We saw Oakland defeating Siena Heights 2-0, and then we saw Northwood defeating Central Michigan 2-0 as well. Both these teams have incredibly strong players to work with, and we're going to be seeing those rosters right in front of us here. We're going to be seeing Trisket come out first here for Oakland. Trisket ran crazy on Siena Heights, 11 stocks in a row. That crazy performance from them we saw 2 weeks ago. And then, of course, Northwood University, they have Sensational, as y'all certainly recognize that. Frostbite, taking out Central Michigan without losing more than a single stock. And 12 stocked them on their own with their Roy. And then Copel also at K. Rule, who I believe took out the entirety of it, 24 stocks. They took out a ton of stocks on their own in one matchup, but I think off stream before that in the prior weeks took out an entire team's worth of stocks twice. And a crazy K. Rule in their own right. So both of these teams have some fantastic players. We've seen Warble play with their Ken 4. I believe Oakland also has Poison Jam on their bench. They played Kazi. I think Typhoon might be a Sephiroth. And then Spectral, I believe, went Lucina last time we saw them. Yep. Both of these teams, 2 of the strongest teams that we've seen on the broadcast here in this fall 2022 season here at NACE Star League. So I'm very excited to see both of them back here because this should be a very exciting match to watch.
The first time we've seen players on both sides capable of completely destroying the team on their own. It's like 2 unstoppable forces going up against each other here. As we do have game 1, is going to be Trisket on the side of Oakland University up against Copel, the K-Roll. Again, both of these players we've seen previously. Trisket taking out 11 stocks a few weeks ago, and Copel taking out 12 one day, and I think 24 the crazy amount of stocks. So both of these players know how to win matches, but unfortunately for one of them, someone is going to have to lose here, and we're going to get a chance to see who that is as we get into the early goings of this match, as it has been dead even.
This is exactly what I want to see too from two players, as you said, who can show that they can take out entire teams on their own. But now, what do you do when you put them up against each other? I would think, out of the gate, Pac-Man has the slight advantage on K-Rool, just what you're able to do. But if you're playing close quarters, K-Rool might be able to win that fight more often than not. That crown is going to be having to deal with, of course, the hydrant that's in the way. And it takes a few hits for that to actually get unearthed there and fly towards Pac-Man, but it does give Pac-Man a little bit of reprieve against one of K-Rool's best ground options.
And Copel is getting so much mileage off of the crown that you just mentioned here. I feel like every single time, well, maybe not that time, almost every single time they fought, it's either it's a landing or forcing Trisket into a bad situation. I really feel like a lot of this damage, as he lands another crown right there, has been off of that neutral beat, just getting every bit of juice out of that as they can. But Trisket is keeping it close. But one thing I always say about fighting heavy is if the game is close, then the heavy is probably winning, because they're going to take out a stock a lot faster than you can. Gonna see a back throw here. Definitely not going to be enough to get K-Rool just yet, as he lands yet another crown on Trisket. Almost a repeat of what we saw first match with the Zelda and Rulu, just unable to deal with it.
And now we're getting into the hypersense for both these characters, where it's very much going to be like trying to get these hard reads. You obviously know Pac-Man's going to be looking for Bell, or he here, K-Rool looking for these big slobber knocker attacks, but it actually ends up being the cannonball that normally Pac-Man really wouldn't be hit by, but because it's such a scramble towards the middle of the stage, they're able to get, catching Trisket off guard. So Kobo will take that first stock, that 152. Pac-Man gonna have a little bit of an issue unless they land the bell or just get the key out right to really kill this extremely heavy character.
Yeah, again, K-Rool being I think like the second heaviest character in the game, if not second, then like third, but either way, definitely up there. Very hard to KO this character, as we're seeing Copel already put 42% on Trisket's second stock. And yeah, like you mentioned, it's going to be hard for Pac-Man to get this KO without landing the bell or getting the key. I think back air might be a little bit risky, because you don't want to get too close to K-Rool on times, as we do see the key go right there. Oh no, but armoring through that back air actually does manage to get a grab. Back throw, not going to be enough. K-Rool at 206%. Oh, that's a bad grab. Really bad option there from Trisket, but does manage to get the stock anyways with that back air, but sitting at 75% on the second stock back, not looking too good for him.
No, it's definitely not. He's able to slow things down, but there's, like you said, getting so much mileage off this crown is Copel. Winning a lot of these engagements by throwing that out and then responding, and that's actually a great response to down throw to the up air, or to the up smash there rather, for Copel. That completely eliminates the stock. And we've seen Trisket do this before. The carry, but goes way too out and way too far up the stage, and Copel will take him down with him to take that first game there with 2 stocks left under their belt. So a really solid start there for Northwood University.
High risk, high reward option there for Trisket, though it didn't work. Honestly, at that point in time, that's when you go for think that you're losing on the stage. At that point, I think Trisket maybe I don't want to say conceded, but like knew that this is time to go for those risky plays. Didn't work out for them. I'm sure Copel will definitely take it, but I'm not gonna lie, that first stock was so even that I thought this might have gone down to the wire, but as soon as Copel just got smelled this tiny bit of blood, we saw them take full advantage of that and just dominate from that. As soon as he took off that first stock, just dominate up until the end there.
And I think that was something that for Copel certainly happened to feel pretty good, as I believe we might see a replay here, but we also, of course, have extra life here to thank. Make sure you can, jump in and change kids' health to change the future. Be sure to join our super team page today. And of course, we also want to shout out all of our different sponsors here that are supporting NACE Star League. Extra Life, of course, Corsair. We have Monster, we have BetterHelp, we have Duncan, we have Mavix, and we have so many partners here. And there is Duncan right there, of course. You want to make sure that you're running on Duncan. That's what we're doing here at NACE Star League.
Again, this tournament will not be possible without any of the sponsors. So once again, thank you. But now back to the match. If I am Oakland, what am I doing? Because I really feel like Trisket is possibly their best player, and we just saw them get completely dominated by Copel there. They still have Warble Nerfer, who I believe played Wolf last time we saw them. Spectral, the Lucina, who is just, Lucina always a solid pick. And I think Typhoon, who might be Sephiroth, so we have two swords, which could definitely do some work up against K. Rool here, but we're going to see who they opt to send in, and it is going to be Kazuya, Poison Jam, the Kazuya. You know what? Hey, never a bad time to send Kazuya in either. When you're down, this character can absolutely bring you right back into a match. We've all seen what like Riddle could do. Just one big shout out to him. We all know what this character can do. I really feel like Kazuya. It's a lot of people are saying that this might be the second best character in the game at this point, right next to Steve, and hopefully Poison Jam's able to show off why here. Off of one punch can completely destroy your stock.
Speaking of destroying stocks here,
Oh
Kobo is doing exactly that to Poison Jam, who wasn't originally listed on this as a potential player, but has that now bench capability to jump in and try to change the tides here. But so far, it's Kobo who is doing that and completely giving Poison Jam a taste of their own medicine. This, again, the crown. When you have a character like Kazuya who has such a linear, approach, that crown can really change things up. K. Rool has really solid range on that forward air, and a lot of moves that can kind of keep Kazuya at bay. And if you're going to play that close quarters game, K. Rool gets a lot off of the returning crown, gets a lot off of grab. You have to respect it. And right now, Cole is taking the Poison Jam to task. I mean, beating out this Kazuya on so many neutral interactions is making it hard for Poison Jam to get anything started.
Yeah, because you know Kazuya wants to approach you on the ground. It's very rare you're going to see Kazuya really approach you from the air. And Crown, basically, if it doesn't hit you, it forces you to shield. Managed to get a reflector that time and got the upcut to get that KO. But up until that point, yeah, that Crown is doing so much work for Kobo. And Poison Jam is not really able to do anything about that. Other than jumping, all you really have is that reflector. And I really feel like Kobo could punish both of those options too.
We have the race drive available, and that should be the kill. No, doesn't get the full follow-up. That might have been enough there, but unfortunately not able to get the full punish off of that electric. And now Kopel, what are they going to do in this edge guard situation? Yeah, looking for the rising down air. Doesn't land. Poison Jam has to get out of the corner, but there's so many options. Gets picked up by the command grab, and just like that, the blunderbuss takes down Poison Jam to their last stock.
And now, what's the option here for Opal? Getting that? Okay, yeah. You know what? Even though they lose a stock there, even though they almost lost a stock there, that Crown acting as a get-out-of-jail free card for you, able to throw it, and even if you get comboed, the Kazuya has to be worried about that Crown coming back after they managed to get that grab there. Not enough to get the KO. A Kobo at 156%. I would imagine we're going to see a stock lost relatively soon either way. But yeah, that Crown just does so much work in this matchup. Oh my goodness. Oh no, GG's.
Oh no.
Oh no, not like this. That's a down air? Yep, not like this. And Kopel at 156% has taken out two players, only down to one stock. I'm not gonna lie, I did think that Poison Jam was gonna come through there to take that. Again, you don't survive at 156 against Kazuya for very long, if at all. But the Kobo showing why they have been one of the best players in this entire tournament, regardless of school up to this point, Doug.
Yeah, no surprise that Kobo off stream took out an entire team by themselves. This K. Rool is nutty, it is nasty, and it has taken out two players in a row, as you mentioned. That blunderbuss set them up for success here, and then this is just, you know this is a player that has been in this situation before, knows exactly what to do. The timing is perfect. It's not just like using the option without having an idea of if it's going to whiff, if the timing's right. Like that's, you know Kobo's done that many times before, or at the very least, just knows, like, is able to extrapolate based on what they know Kazuya is able to do, and how big of a down there that is for K. Rool. You don't have to be super accurate, but you still got to land it in time. And very well done by Kopel. So now this is, putting Oakland in a pretty bad situation here, because they have essentially either a Sephiroth, a Lucina, or a Ken. And out of those options, I feel like Sephiroth might be the best option just because of that range you can play with. But Sephiroth sometimes cannot do well against characters who want to play in their face. And when you have the Crown that can really contend with the long range that Sephiroth has, I don't know, is that the pick you go with? Do you go with the Lucina? Do you potentially go with the Ken? This is one of those situations where maybe it doesn't even come down to what character you have. It comes down to what player is ready to take out Kopel. Not necessarily the character matchup. What the player matchup is, that's the most important.
And honestly, if there's anything I learned from the previous match that we saw with Rulu and Zelda, honestly, I think the player matchup is much more important than the character matchup, and that's a very good point you brought up here. Well, let's see who Oakland sends in next. It could be either Warble Nerfer, Spectral, or Typhoon, and they are sending in Warble Nerfer with the Ken back-to-back FGC characters here. Again, it is only one stock. It is only one stock. Ken definitely is capable of taking out stocks at a reasonable range, but with the way Copel is playing and with that crown, the same thing that I said about Kazi, I'm going to say here about Ken. You kind of know that Ken wants to approach you on the ground most of the time, and that crown is going to stuff out a lot of the approaches Warble Nerfer really has with his character.
You're definitely right there.
Oh, Lord. Okay, that back air, so much low pressure there coming through from Copel. Has to pick up that crown, manages to do it. Okay, you know what? And Warble Nerfer doing a good job of avoiding it right there, but unable to really get a solid hit here on Copel, sitting at only at 24%. Does land that Hadoken, but gets punished immediately for it. Already at 98. Back throw, okay, can't get much off of it, and we're seeing Copel space out with those back airs there. Jumping right into a blunderbuss. Already at 113. Can't get that combo going. Forward to the off stage.
Oh, this is well done here by Warble though, because they're catching a lot of these air dodges that Copel's going for. They're looking for the blunderbuss, and they're getting around that. The crown is I was gonna say the crown almost taking him down. The dynasty there still paying off for Copel. It's not gonna it is gonna be enough just in time, and that'll be Copel now taking yet another stock. There's 7 stocks now here for this K rule, and we know that Copel is capable of taking more.
Yeah. Hopefully, Warble Nerfer doesn't allow them to do that, though, as they do have Copel at 124%. Up to Shoryuken is probably going to do it at this point. But the one thing Copel has been doing a fantastic job of is not letting Warble get any of those, bread and butter Ken strings that we're so used to seeing from this character come out. So a lot of this 124% has been for straight hits and a Hadoken here, a little 1-2 hit combo there. So I don't know if they're going to be able to land that Shoryuken that they really need.
Okay. That's gonna be trouble here. And you can see he's even trying to just finish with the back air. Oh no, doesn't complete it. Looking again, gets it twice. Oh, just go for the Shoryuken there. You gotta land that, and unfortunately, this gives Copel another means to potentially take a second stock, which is now getting very scary here for Oakland. As Copel knows some of these approaches, I'm just going to use crown, and you want to get the returning crown into the up air. It's still not going to be enough, but the next one will certainly be.
Yeah, hopefully Warble Nerfer can manage to take this stock, because when he got that up till that ledge, that was definitely the game. I'm gonna credit that to probably a misinput there, not a forward tilt. But either way, they need to hang on to this stock. They really need to hang on to this stock, but I don't think they're gonna do it. Oh no, they do manage getting a back air, barely getting that KO. Warble Nerfer almost kind of fumbling the bag there. Unfortunately, does drop a stock to Copel, but that was 7, I believe, stocks from Copel. And it's crazy to say, but 7 stocks is an off night for them, which is an absolute crazy thing to say.
It's an off night, but it's a sufficient one for sure.
Yeah.
This gives an incredible lead here for Northwood. We're going to see a little bit of that tail end of this matchup as the back air finally lands, and thankfully for Warble, that means that they will get that second stock refresh going as this next battle.
And you know what, Northwood, they saw Frostblade, the Roy, who we've also seen take off 12 and 11 stocks back to back. They have so good pop, a Wii Fit, Sensational, who is again an incredible player as well, that Captain Falcon, and they also have Nook, who we both believe is a Joker, but we could be wrong about that. So honestly, at this point, no matter which way you go if you're Northwood, it's looking like a win-win-win-win-win situation for you.
Yeah. For right now, Northwood looks like they're in a situation where they can go 5-0 real quick in this season. They are our favorites, I think, in the entire conference, maybe even the league right now. Entirely, we know how strong that Northwood is able to build their rosters to be across multiple games, not just Smash. And of course, they've done that right here in Ultimate Cruise here in the fall 2022 season. Yeah, Oakland has already burned their Kazuya, they burned Trisket, and they have Warble Nerfer ready to go for their third player with 2 stocks left. But I'm curious to see who their 4th player is when eventually they do get to the anchor. Is it Spectral or is it Typhoon? Meanwhile, yeah, Northwood they have So Good Pop, the Wii Fit trainer. They have Frostbite, the incredible Roy player we might see jump in here. They have Sensational, the Falcon. They also have the Sensational Steve. The Steve Stational.
Oh, that's a good one.
The Steve Stational here.
The Steve definitely expected them to play Captain Falcon. I'm not gonna lie, the character that they're definitely known for. But hey, you know what? It's never bad to have a Steve in the pocket. Debatably, and I think most people would agree at this point, the best character in the game, for better or for worse. So definitely not a bad character to have in your pocket. But crazy thing, I think this is the first Steve we've seen all season, at least on broadcast.
I think you're right. This is because we've talked about seeing a Steve and the what ifs behind seeing a Steve, and yet this is the first time I think we've actually seen one on broadcast. You're totally right. So will the Steve Stational make the difference here up against Ken? This is an interesting pick here because I think the Falcon would have been fine, but I think the Steve is just, you know, a more guaranteed play against a character like Ken who can get those early confirms with these quick kills, and a character like Falcon really puts themselves in a situation where they're going to get hit more often than not. Meanwhile, you got the disjoints with Steve, you got the walls right here, and you can see how hard it is for Ken to really get in. You have to commit to these landing forward airs, these rising landing back airs, trying to cross up when Steve doesn't have blocks, but even still, if you don't land any of that, Steve just hits hard. Makes it almost possible for Ken to keep up.
And because Ken's approach is so linear, all Seth has to do is run away, drop 3 blocks, and that's basically a free neutral win for you as they've managed to finally get that diamond. And because that approach is so linear, it's going to be really hard for Warble to get in, for one thing. And if you do get in, Steve just has so many options for dealing with you. Has that diamond sword now, which is going to rack on a ton of damage in no amount of time. But sure, you get not enough to get the KO just yet. If we see one up to... Okay, cool. If Seth manages to land one more up till, we might see Ken go from 11 to 90 in the blink of an eye here. Shoryu does take stock and grabs the ledge there. Not gonna lie, for a split second I thought they might have S-deep, but Rebel Nerfer managing to take that, and Seth just mining and mining and mining really for free right now.
What does Ken really do about this? Ken really can't fireball because of the blocks that are going in the way, and we've seen what can be done, I think, by Onin, for example, who can try to forward smash and actually can land hits through the block, which I didn't even know Steve could do up until this past weekend. That's a spike. It's not going to be enough. No, it is! Barely enough there. Warble Nerfer and gets the taunt in for a good measure. If you're going to be able to get one in, now's the chance. Minecart's going to land. Sensational now, just up on the team-wise by 3 stocks, but has a single stock to work with here. And against a character like Ken, you still have a solid advantage, but Ken can easily bring things back, and that means you really have to be careful. You got to be using your mats not just to get yourself to diamond as soon as possible. You want to have these blocks available to you. That's how you win this matchup, is keeping a block between you and Ken as often as you can. But Warble is now swinging for the fences here, and that's going to be their death. The consequences have been paid. A Sensational will trim them down to just 3 stock now for Oakland.
I'm sure they would love to hang on to that one stock that Rebel took with that spike, but hey, if you're Rebel, that's what you have to go for. You're on stage. Ken against Steven neutral is so difficult because if they just put 3 blocks up and there's basically nothing you can do about that. If you jump over, they're going to be ready for that. If you run up to the wall, like you just mentioned, Steve can forward smash through the wall. So you have to go for those risky plays as we see that bread and butter Steve combo, or I guess Al combo in that case. Minecart into back air, that is like the bread and butter kill confirm that the character has. But yeah, good job for Rebel to kind of make the most out of maybe not a great situation. Didn't manage to take that stock in a very, very clutch moment, but they still have to get through the rest of Northwood. We still haven't seen Frostbite. We still haven't seen So Good Pop. The Sensational Steve, or the Steve Stational, played pretty well for, because we both know he doesn't miss Steve, but for a secondary, definitely put in some work there. Looking like a very tall mountain to climb for Oakland University as they get into, I believe, their last player now.
Yeah, well, we've seen the Warble nerf for Ken. It's now down to Spectral with Typhoon. So I believe Spectral had gone Lucina last time we saw them, and I'm almost 100% sure that Typhoon has a Sephiroth. So if I'm thinking of characters you want to use there, I think I still might go for Sephiroth.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I think you still kind of go for Sephiroth here. I mean, Lucina can definitely get the job done. The problem is that eventually Lucina's going to get hit, and you have to work your way back in again, right? Sephiroth doesn't really ever have to be in at all, right? Can just poke and poke and poke, throw out neutral B and poke and poke and poke, and that's kind of how you win on Steve and then get them off stage. That's really Steve's weakest when he's trying to land, when he's trying to get back on stage. He's incredibly strong when he's on stage, but that's when you are able to beat him. That said, Lucina can really cover Steve's landings here and has that speed to do that, so it might come down to did Oakland really recognize what Sensational was doing? Are they going to respond in tow? And it looks like it's going to be Lucina coming from Spectral to respond. I think that speed is what they want, right? Ken didn't have the speed. Sephiroth doesn't really have the speed. Lucina does. And Lucina is able to rush Steve down and try to take out Steve before he starts building, before he starts, mining, before he starts crafting. And that might be the difference that they need to get back into the set.
No, honestly, that's a really good point that you brought up. Both, yeah, Ken just wasn't able to get a hand on Steve before they built those blocks. And the one thing about Steve is as soon as they put those three vertical blocks up, that's basically a free neutral win because they get a couple seconds to basically just get free materials, whether that's a diamond or gold or steel or iron or whatever the case may be. And Lucina could definitely rush them down. But with that linear recovery, that anvil is actually going to be a really good tool for Seth to use as well. We see them already get an 80% or a 60% lead. And trying to get that grab with the minecart, but Spectral doing a decent job of avoiding it, but does get grabbed by that fishing rod. Already at 102%, didn't even realize the amount of damage that Steve can rack on, especially in the hands of a player like Sensational, is absolutely incredible as we see the conversion from up B into up smash. That little just ticky-tack hit from that up B, just enough to stun you to get that up smash. Incredible combo there.
Honestly, I think if Steve didn't hit as hard as he does, he wouldn't be such an issue. Like if he hit Sheik, Steve can do all this stuff, but he has to do it a lot for it to matter. But the fact that Steve can just rack up so much damage and convert off of nearly anything makes him such a problem. Whereas Lucina here can convert off some hits, but has to play the reversal game, has to play the poke game. And that limited range that Lucina has makes it difficult for her to weave in on these blocks, to respond as quickly as she needs to in a scramble situation, because she has to be within range for that to even work. And then, of course, you have the minecart, which is going to be an issue at any time, and Lucina very much so has to respect that more often than not. Does finally land a grab here. This would be big for Spectral to get this kill on Sensational before they take another stock. Otherwise, it's going to be incredibly hard for Oakland to claw their way back here.
And I think right now, if I'm Spectral, I have to. I'll just say, I think you just have to go for a bit of a hard read. Does lose a stock to that minecart, and now, Oakland down to their last stock, which, honestly, even though Seth is at 155 right now, don't be shocked if they're able to close this gap in a hurry. As we can see this recover, we'll see edge guard option. Went for a down there, but smart recovery from Seth to kind of stall at the ledge as we see the dancing blade from Spectral coming in to clean up that stock. Does manage to take out Seth, but still only one life left. And honestly, if I'm Nord, I think I just send Frostbite in and just kind of clean it up. If I'm being honest, we've seen how amazing Frostbite is. They still have so good pop who's amazing in their own right, and Nuck, who I don't think we've seen on broadcast yet. As we get this replay here, this is going to be that dancing blade KO whiffing the grub. Not often you see a dancing blade KO from Lucina, I think. Crom and Roy, maybe a tipper with Mark. I feel like you don't see a KO with a dancing blade from Lucina very often. But either way, if I'm Spectral, I hate that I lost that for that stock there at the end before getting that KO, because you definitely would have needed that.
Yeah, you need that, and I think you're right on the dancing blade. It's more of an option. I think you see just kind of a neutral at mid-percent, and not something like, again, with Roy or Cron, which is a kill move for sure. But with Steve, sometimes you need those multi-hits, right? You want to be able to win that fight, and that's exactly what dancing blade's going to get you. So, yeah, we've seen Copel, we've seen Sensational. You mentioned the last players here. So, Nuck, we haven't seen Nuck before. This Frostbite, So Good Pop, and Copel and Sensational were the four players we saw from North last time. The Nuck's character I think they're going to go with is likely Joker. I want to say, but when I say likely, just based on the research that we've done, So we might see that Joker come out, and then we have the Wii Fit trainer, as you mentioned, and of course the Roy. So I wouldn't be surprised if we just end up getting Frostbite, right? Like fight speed with speed, fight fire with fire here, and just have Frostbite come up and finish things off real quick as Roy. The Wii Fit trainer, I don't know. I think Lucina might have an edge in that situation. Like that's a character you can definitely get in and run in on, and Wii Fit trainer, you know, has some kind of, you know, get off me buttons, but Lucina can just pressure so hard on Wii Fit trainer a lot of the time. Joker wouldn't be a bad option, I don't think either, though. I would say Frostbite is the most likely, then Nuck, and then So Good Pop, but we'll see. It's coming down though to just Spectral with Lucina. Just very, very small margin of error here. We've seen Oakland's players do it. We saw Trisket on the Pac-Man completely destroy Sienna Heights, but this is where now Oakland has to do the reversal. Can they do it? And we actually gonna see the character that I thought was the least likely. So it goes to show what I know. It's gonna be Wii Fit Trainer instead. I mean, I guess at this point, like, hey, we're gonna throw out Wii Fit Trainer because in case, I guess, maybe if So Good Pop can't do it, we still have the other players ready to go.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is a matchup that you don't see very often either in this game of an intense amount of matchups. Wii Fit Trainer, I guess, can play that zoner, like sit back and not do anything, roll and just side B at Lucina the whole time. So far, that seems what So Good Pop's gonna do.
Yeah, So Good is just going to the ledge and just not doing. That's right. That is so funny. They're going to the ledge and just daring Spectral to approach because Wii Fit has all the tools to just. They can just stay at the ledge. They can throw a sun salutation. They can throw. Oh my god! They can throw soccer balls at you. I think So Good is trolling a little bit right now with the way they're playing. But yeah, they have. Even though this matchup might not be the best. Oh lordy! Even though this matchup might not necessarily be the best, they still have a 5-stock lead to kind of play around with right here. And yeah, So Good just. I feel like kind of playing with their food a little bit. Oh my gosh!
I think you might be right. Yeah, Spectral does find that kill, which means Northwood now down to 5 stocks as a squad, but that is so much to work with.
Oh no!
Spectral, yeah, that could have been deadly. And look at this, I mean, So Good Pop is. They're not even playing right now. They're not playing on anyone else's time but their own. And Spectral, I mean, So Good Pop doesn't need to approach. The onus is on Spectral. They don't need. They have the lead. There's no at all motivation here for the Wii Fit trainer to approach, and for a character like Lucina doesn't have projectiles, you got to get in on them. You got to figure out a way in.
And as frustrating as this probably is for Spectral, like you said, this is really in So Good Pop's best interest because you got to think about the mental game as well. Because this is such an annoying playstyle, at some point in time you would imagine that Spectral's maybe going to get a little bit overzealous, and that's when you're going to have to take advantage and get that KO. Just waiting, and I think So Good is just waiting for that opportunity to come out, and again, just completely content with running to the ledge, not pushing any buttons. So that's probably. Oh, I thought a grab was going to come through there, but yeah, just opting to just run to the ledge. Perfectly happy with that. Waiting for Spectral to approach because you know they have to, and I really think they're trying to go a few style points here too. Okay, option here, and opting to play a little bit of volleyball right there. We think gonna probably make it back. No, not quite good. Edge guard there from Spectral, but hey, So Good down to stock number 1. I think, yeah, we are seeing them turn up a little bit now. Don't lose that stock. Trying to end as quickly as possible. Okay, good conversion there from Spectral. Okay, yep, and it's keeping So Good in that corner.
I mean, what do you do now as Spectral? Because you really have to close up the stock.
There it is.
But the forward's going to be enough. So Good Pop does it with 4 stocks left for Northwood University. They will take the first set of this matchup and put themselves up 1-0 here on our second match of the night.
I feel like that was one of those games where the scoreboard doesn't accurately reflect how the match went, because if you look at it, you see 4-0 lead. Definitely not too bad, but at no point in time did I think either of us really feel like Oakland was in it. I think after that start from Copel taking out however many 7-8 stock, however many it was, I really feel like the game was decided there because of the amazing bench that Northwood has. So yeah, so despite that only being a 4-stock victory, that was nowhere near as close as the scoreboard really indicates.
No, I think you're absolutely right, and a lot of that, like you said, is the deep bench that Northwood has. Really, Oakland was playing at Northwood's pace, right? Northwood was setting the pace of the series, setting the pace of every game. They have a deeper character pool, it seems, as well. And we saw characters. We obviously expecting Sensational to go Captain Falcon to go Steve, not expecting that.
Crazy.
And you have even Oakland changing things up character-wise a little bit here and bringing things back, but. We actually ended up seeing the roster that we saw last time 2 weeks ago, right? Like they had, even though we expected Typhoon potentially, they were brought in. It was Poison Jam who played just as they did last week on this roster. So maybe we do see Typhoon come in here, and maybe we see Northwood just kind of bring Nuck in some playtime. But I think you're right. The set itself, the scoreboard of the set really wasn't indicative of what we had in terms of this game. Northwood was always ahead, and that's a lot of a crew battle, is getting that huge lead at the beginning, and then no matter how good you are, it's hard to work back on that. And we're seeing that in full force in practice and in game here between these two teams.
And we'll see what adjustments Oakland potentially makes right after this break.
Welcome back, everybody, to Week 6 of NACE Star League's Fall 2022 season here for Smash Ultimate Collegiate Cruise. I am Dak, alongside me as we go into the second set of our second match of the night, Northwood versus Oakland, and Northwood is looking to continue their streak in the regular season by taking one more set over Oakland. They're up 1-0 off of a 4-0 victory here, one that I think the scoreboard makes it seem it was a bit closer than it actually was, but this is still Oakland's opportunity to bring things back and try to force a set 3. Mies, how you feeling about this one? Do you think Oakland can do it? Do you think they can bring it back?
It's, to be nice about it, it's a lot of work to come back, because when you kind of get dominated like that, you have to make a lot of adjustments. So I guess I'm going to say no. I feel like after that, Northwood is probably going to take this. Again, we didn't even get to see Frostbite. We saw Seth not even playing their main. We saw Soul Good Pop playing around with their food in that last match. If they were kind of playing aggressively from the jump, that may have been a 3-stock. Like this is a set easily could have been, even though it was only 4, easily could have been like a 7, 8, even 9-stock victory if everyone was kind of playing up to their, normal standards, I guess, put it that way. So yeah, from Oakland, I have to make a lot of adjustments. Maybe it's a substitution, maybe it's a character switch. We still have Typhoon on the bench, who I believe plays Sephiroth as well, so maybe that's a bit of a factor that could make a difference here. But no, but really, to answer the question at the beginning, I don't know. This is gonna be tough for Oakland, man.
Absolutely going to be tough for Oakland. And of course, we really quick, before we jump into this next match, I want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank RTC. Become a leader for life with RTC. Be sure to check them out. And all of our awesome sponsors here at NACE Star. Without them, we couldn't make this happen, and we wouldn't be here for all these awesome students and players who are doing it here in Smash Collegiate Cruise here the fall 2022 season. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for supporting us and checking us out. And I hope you're all enjoying this awesome Smash action. Yeah, this is do or die here for Oakland. They've definitely been put kind of, I mean, it's not do or die, right? Like, they still have a full season left. Like, in this matchup, Northwood hasn't even really played their full hand, right? Like, this is where Oakland really needs to make a full change up here. Oakland is 3-1 in the season, so if they lose this, they'll go down to 3-2. Meanwhile, Northwood is 4-0. They're one of the only few teams, I think, in their conference. I think they're actually the only 4-0 team left in their conference right now. And they're one of, I think, only 9 or 10 teams in the entire league that are still undefeated. So Northwood is playing for that. Oakland wants to be that first team to knock them down a peg here. And we're going to be jumping into this one as we get a rematch from the first set. It will be Copel back on the King K rule, and it will be Trisket back on that Pac-Man.
And you know what? Copel didn't take this with a 2-stock victory in that first game that they played, but the first stock was basically dead even, and as soon as Copel just got a little bit of momentum going, managed to take that all the way to the bank and get a victory. But either way, Trisket off to a pretty good start right now, about a 40% lead, and what opting to display a complete campy game you definitely have to do against Cable, who can rack on a lot of damage in no time at all. But yeah, I feel like definitely an improvement from game 1 to from set 1 to set 2 here for Trisket, as Copel does get through with that body armor there, potentially saving a stock. But yeah, only 28% and a stock for Trisket there. Definitely what Oakland University needed here.
Great anti-air with the forward smash, catching the forward air off guard. And now this is really Trisket just making that crown ineffective, right? Like, Copel hasn't been in a great position to use it, and Trisket's been respecting it a lot harder here. Love that setup. Gets the jabs off the 100, and then, wow, the 2 frame, I think it might have not even snapped yet, so the smash attack was perfect. Copel now struggling to get back. I don't think that's going to be it. No, the forward smash is just a bit too late there, and that misbased. Trisket almost had an opportunity to take 2 quick stocks there from Copel, as now they're trying to weasel their way back here to try to edge things up, and still definitely doable, but has to be done now for Copel.
I've never seen Copel with their back against the wall like this. You typically see them completely dominating the match, but Trisket just, I don't know if it's just adjustments or from game 1 to game 2 or just, talking with their team, but looks like a complete brand new player right here. You never ever see Copel get dominated like this. And one thing I got to give a quick shout out to, that setup with the Hydrogen where they were jabbing Copel into the Hydrogen, almost kind of building up a wall, almost like a traditional 2D fighter game right there. That was a really cool setup that I've never seen before.
Yeah, right. It had like the Tekken wall combos right
Yeah.
there. I'd love to see that. There's no wall break for them.
Yeah.
That's going to be now Trisket with almost a full stock lead. And I think a lot of this still comes back to respecting the crown a lot more. Like you can see Trisket being so much more aware of it on its comeback. Like sure, the crown landing on the first go through is major, but it's really when the crown comes back for that second hit that you have to be aware of, because that's where K-Rool gets combos. Yeah. Trisket is being so much more respectful of it, either sitting in shield the whole time or immediately jumping and avoiding it and keeping that in the back of their head. Kopel really hasn't been able to get in. You can see even there, when Trisket is approaching and has advantage state, will still shield that crown, knowing how important it is, because that's Kopel's way back in to reset. Now Kopel will get that forward tilt to land, but Trisket has over a full stock lead to go here, feeling much, much better compared to the start from the previous set.
Oh yeah, you have to be feeling way better after this. You've kind of learned here that Kopel can be beaten. As we see Trisket, I'm not gonna lie, very, very, not to say shocked, but I didn't expect Trisket to win like that. Trisket fully capable of beating Kopel like we saw there, but I thought that would have been a bit of a closer match with Trisket making amazing adjustments from set 1, set 2 there, making Kopel look mortal. Really, this is a player who we've seen take out a whole team himself, and this is the first time they've really bled.
I think this is the first time we've seen Northwood not have the lead, actually.
Honestly,
the two times we've seen them on broadcast, I think it's the first time that they've been down in stocks, which, yeah, absolutely a shocker here. But they're only down by 2, right? And this is so early in the set. This gets to still go either way, but this is a breath of fresh air, really, for this Oakland squad, because now Northwood has to really figure out, okay, like, who are we bringing in next? Like, Trisket's kind of popping off here. There's a little bit of adaptation from this Pac-Man, and they still have a solid bench as well. I mean, they could bring back that Steve. That's
Steve Station,
right? The Steve Station. Do they bring in Roy, right, who just uses that speed to try to overwhelm the Pac-Man and avoid all of that nonsense that's throwing at them? Do we see, Nuck come in with a Joker potentially? Do we have, Wii Fit Trainer come back up here and actually have them really play and not play with their food? This is where Northwood, I think, in a first-time situation where they actually, I think, have to put a little bit of brain power towards who they're putting in next, not just kind of throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, because for them, normally everything's sticking. Now, things are getting a bit slippery.
Yeah, I feel like Northwood has been able to just out-talent basically everyone else that they played. So, like, matchups be damned, if I'm just better than you, matchup doesn't really matter at that point. And this is the first time where it's just like I've seen a player that is on equal footing with them, actually forcing them to, not simply they don't think, but kind of forcing them to think a little bit harder of who they want to send in, because if Trisket could do that to Kopel, who I feel like there's really no best player on Northwood, but if to be able to do that, a clean 2-stock over Kopel, who is an amazing player like that, like, you have to start thinking, like, I think, though, I might just go Roy and just try to overwhelm with just overwhelming pressure. With K-Rool, you play a bit of a mid-range, you're hanging back, you're not overly aggressive, and I think Pac-Man kind of thrive in that. So I think I'd probably go Roy, or even I probably go Falcon, but never mind. They're actually going Wii Fit, playing camp with camp here. Hey, for every projectile Pac-Man throws out, Wii Fit can throw out just as many, and oftentimes they can even hit a little bit harder too. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, Fire Hydrant off stage, and you know what? So good, running right back to that corner where they have seemed to set up a tent every single match we've seen them in a dead even game up until this point. No one really able to get any good hits going. Oh, and right as I say that definitely would have KO'd with the deep breathing off the platform and the tipper. That up smash 1000% would have KO'd if they managed to land it.
Yeah, so good, Pop. Now feeling like, all right, this is the pressure that they were looking for compared to the previous matchup here. Trisket can certainly bring a taste of their own medicine right back to them. But at the moment, So Good has a slight advantage here, just about 0.5% that Trisket's working with here, but it's going to come down to getting these kills. I mean, Wii Fit Trainer, not a character that has a ton of confirms. Pac-Man, I think, is a bit more kill confirm heavy here, and of course is the heavier character too. So as I think that the percents are going to start to really even out a little bit, but it's going to come down to that deep breathing, right? Like that's what has to happen. And there it is, right? You get that one hit, you don't need a kill confirm if you have the deep breathing ready to go. So that's something that Tristan has to be aware of right now, right? Like, sure, you don't have to worry about these combo starters because Weef doesn't have a ton of those, but you have to be aware of those stray hits. That pays in Wii Fit trainers, you know, for our advantage because of deep breathing.
Yeah, that deep breathing adds so much percentage to everything that Wii Fit wants to do. Even though the hits don't look very hard, before you know it, you take 5 or 6 of those and you're at, what, 40, 50, 60% depending on what the moves are. And we're seeing right now that pressure from So Good Pop with that soccer ball, just making Trisket dance around the air there to try to avoid everything. Does manage to get just enough shield stun with that bell to get a grab, but couldn't really do much from it, but does manage to let Hydrant. Edgeguard opportunity here, gets the bell, avoiding the soccer ball, avoiding the sun salutation, and not able to land that bell. I think it may have landed on the platform, but still has So Good at 143%. They definitely need to try to take off at least one more before falling themselves. That would be huge, because again, this is the first time we've actually seen Northwood not leading. So I think being able to take off that one extra stock if you're Trisket is going to go a very, very long way. Okay. Ooh, and there, who got hit? Okay, wow, couldn't even tell who got hit there. I didn't know if that was the hydrant or the sun salutation, but it was a sun salutation coming through from So Good Pop and kind of closing the gap there, and now tying the game up at 9 stocks each.
Big victory there, definitely a big dub. So that now takes out the Pac-Man, who has really done the most damage for Oakland in a lot of these sets that we've seen, you know, for them on stream. So now where did they go? I mean, Wii Fit Trainer is not a character that has like complete matchup dominance here, but So Good is a very patient Wii Fit Trainer and is going to be able to play that zone game. If you're a fast character, they're going to run away from you, especially if you lack that range. They're not going to approach. We've seen that already. If you're a slower character, then they can start to run circles around you, and that's where Wii Fit really shines. And this is also major. You're right. So Good did this without losing a single stock. So if things are tied up 9-9, just like that, Northwood eliminating being at the lead, the stock deficit, right? You don't have to lead just yet. But the one time someone had a lead over them, Northwood responding immediately with a really, really solid play by the Wii Fit. It's not a pick that I necessarily would have considered, but it makes sense. Wii Fit can play that slippery game and not get hit by a lot of Pac-Man stuff. And you don't have, like, you can win the scramble situations because you have to breathe it. So you have a character like Pac-Man who sometimes struggles in scramble situations unless they have things already set up for them. Wii Fit's kind of the perfect counter to that.
And honestly, I think Wii Fit's also a really good-ish option for the rest of Oakland's roster, especially with how we know how good Wii Fit is when they want to play defensively, and we know how good So Good Pop is with Wii Fit when they play defensively. And you have Kazuya, Ken, who I feel like kind of lose to the same stuff, and then you have Lucina, who again is a close range character who wants to approach you, and we know how solid So Good Pop is when people want to play super aggro on them. So maybe the key here is to maybe go Sephiroth. If Typhoon does in fact play Sephiroth, give them a bit of a different look. Instead of playing close range, play a bit more of that mid range. You know, you have that forward air, but you poke you from. It feels like the end of the stage sometimes. You have the one wing when Sephiroth is in danger. That gives you that much more KO power. But hey, either way, we're gonna see who they opt to go with. And it is gonna be Poison Jam with the Kazuya. You know what? Not a terrible pick, even though I feel like I'm not gonna say Kazuya loses to Wii Fit because that's not the case, but I do think Kazuya definitely loses to overly defensive and running away play styles sometimes. But if Kazuya can land that one hit, we all know what they're capable of doing.
For sure. And I think that's obviously what Poison Jam's rely on here, because Wii Fit is a campy character a lot of time, but doesn't have like the that's not going to be enough. But that's going to put him in a really bad situation here. Now that the deep breathing has been popped out, but I mean, Wii Fit is a zoner and a camper kind of character, but doesn't have like completely shut down defense. Like you can get in, you can respond, you can reflect. Like they can't put up the strongest of walls compared to other characters, and I think that Kazuya might be able to weasel their way in here. But this is right now Poison Jam trying to fight from behind, and this platform that Town and City is giving So Good Pop is paying off. That's not going to be enough, but the B almost tracking him down. The down air will also land, and now things are almost evened up. Wii Fit is probably in kill percent here, just almost enough, but not going to be there. And still now both these players DBZing themselves, just like duking it out, boxing each other for a lot of these hits. This is a lot closer than you might have expected, but Poison Jam commits too hard and So Good will take this first stock.
And that's sometimes when you have to punish Kazuya. Oh, wow, as they get that down there, don't see that move very, very often. We've seen it twice already. But sometimes when you see a Kazuya commit to something they shouldn't be doing, that's when you have to get in and punish them, because this character can't land very well, isn't the best in well, I'm not gonna say isn't the best, it's really bad in disadvantage, doesn't really have quick kind of get off beat move, can't really land either, so that's when you have to take advantage, like we saw So Good Pop do right there. But they are now sitting at a 30% or so deficit, and you never want to be at a deficit up against Kazuya, as we see a little bit of spaghetti there, both of them kind of trading hits. And now, yeah, So Good Pop opting to right back to the ledge, slowing the game down now and controlling the pace. Again, this is what you want to do against Kazuya. If you let them control the speed of the match, you will probably lose 100% of the time. It's Soccer Ball. Not enough to do much there, but does get poison off of you. And yeah, So Good just going right here at the ledge. Kazuya can't really do much if he doesn't have enough room to combo you.
Yeah, So Good's going to play, set the pace of this game almost every time, and it's really for Kazuya able to poke in and hopefully land a starter. But that's a big kill here, because now Poison Jam's losing that rage drive, losing the rage they have, and this is now an opportunity for So Good to start to rack up some clean damage without having to worry to die dying as early as they normally would. Ooh, that electric hitting the soccer ball back, and then the laser landing. Second one's going to whiff. So Good trying to get back on stage, but Wii Fit Trader does not have the onus to get on, but they commit too hard there with the aerial on landing. Poison Jam will punish that every time. It's now 7-7. This is looking so much closer, as you can see, obviously, in this set, and that's looking great for Oakland after they got kind of body bagged the first one.
And yeah, this is the first time we have seen Northwood evened up with their back against the wall, potentially. I know right now that So Good has the percent lead, but Kazuya does not care about percentages. All they need is one electric and a little bit of room, and your stock is essentially forfeit at that point. So right now, we might see Northwood be down. Oh, we might see Northwood be down going into this next game, and the down into the platform coming through and saving So Good Pop's life, because that platform wasn't there. That stock was going to be deleted. Okay, I'll cut right there, going for the Wind Fist. All they need is one more electric, and that's going to be it.
Oh, this is a clincher right now. It's almost even between these two players, and you can tell So Good is not even trying to give this Kazuya even an inch, because that will mean death right now. They're going to linger on this platform as long as they possibly can, but now that could set them up for getting hit with a laser, getting hit with an up B. So Good has to be careful. Oh! The ball hits him right back, and now things are tight, but now it's going in So Good Pop's advantage here, but still both characters are at kill percent at this point. It almost doesn't matter. It's So Good trying to work their way into healing if they can. Can they do it 98 more times? Oh, that is scary now. This could go either way. There's so much time left on the clock. It's crew battle, doesn't even matter. And then, oh no punish! So Good might be, wishing they had back here. Man, wishing they had that one back too. Starting to get a little bit spaghetti here.
That should have been game right there. An up smash or anything, even like an up air, even like an up tilt may have done it. But right now, yeah, Kazuya, you can't let this character live this long. Okay, 188 right now for Poison. Going for the uppercut, couldn't quite get it. Up B couldn't get that there either. And finally, that close, man. Y'all can see me on. Y'all couldn't see me, but I was like this close to my screen. I was clenched up. I was so nervous for that match. I can't imagine how the players are feeling there, but right there, So Good, barely surviving. And again, this is the first time we've seen Northwood maybe sweating a little bit.
I would have to imagine they did get that lead back, but it's only by a single stock. So certainly Northwood has to be sweating it. And you can tell both of these players were starting to feel the pressure, right? Like you're seeing mistakes happen, and then this is just an unfortunate up B, right? Like that's a commitment that you have to be sure that that's landing. And I think as Kazuya, you don't have to be making that crazy commitment on the up B, because we saw that the game should have been over earlier. So Good missed two big punishes on an up B and I believe a dash attack as well earlier. So like that's a situation that could put you to death, especially at that percent, it's such a crazy committal to go for that up B. And that's something that maybe Oakland could be paying for later in the set, because now So Good gets a refresh in the last stock. They get that last stock back at 0%, where potentially they could have had the lead and continued that lead again for Oakland. Now it's Northwood who has the edge.
And that stock refresh is huge because we both know how defensive So Good Pop is, and whether this is Spectral to Lucina or Rebel Nerf with the Ken coming through, maybe they send in Typhoon, but either way, if it's Lucina or Ken, running to the ledge and camping out with neutral B, Sun Citation, and the Locker Ball is... I don't want to say it's like a free win, but it's going to be really hard for Rumble Nerf or Spectral, if it's one of those two, to take that one stock without losing one of their own, because if So Good does play that defensive game, which I imagine they will, they're going to be racking on damage a lot more frequently than you are.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I'm curious if maybe we see Typhoon come in here now, right? Like
yeah.
That's an adjustment that Oakland I don't think is even that far beyond at all. Oakland definitely changed up their players and characters. I think last time we saw them, at the very least, they changed up the character. I actually am not entirely sure if they stuck with it, but no, they're gonna go with Nerf. All right, so maybe they're gonna be sticking to it. We're gonna have So Good Pop jump out. I'm trying to think if Oakland actually made bigger adjustments last time we saw them, because I was originally thinking they did, but now that I think about it more, I think they might have just stuck with what worked, and maybe that's what we have to expect here from Oakland in this next match.
Yeah, like if it was working for, like, why not just go for it again? Right now, Rebel opted has to take off one stock only, but this is going to be difficult. We all see what So Good is doing right now, just jumping away from everything Ken wants to do. Ken is just, as solid as this character is, again, this is very linear. You know exactly how they want to approach you. They're going to approach you with falling aerials. They're going to approach you with Hadokens, maybe a Tatsu or two here. You know exactly what they need to do. So it is easy to game plan against Ken oftentimes, but if they do manage to land that hit, they're not quite Kazuya level, but you will be eating a lot of damage in a short amount of time. And you want to talk about eating damage right there. Rumble Nerf for eating that back air and losing a stock already.
Yeah, this is So Good Pop. Now, again, this is what I'm talking about, right? That Kazuya had changed things up. Now we have a Wii Fit trainer who has a bit less pressure on them, can start to take some more risks, and matchup that arguably might be a bit easier here compared to the Kazuya.
Yep.
Ken doesn't have the same, has explosiveness, but not the same amount.
Yeah.
And the fireballs aren't gonna be able to do it. The speed, of course, also isn't there. You see Wii Fit trainer able to edge him out there in that regard. It's gonna be difficult for World Nerf to keep this pressure on.
Yeah. But you know what? Doing an okay-ish job of it right now, considering how defensive So Good has been playing, as to get another back here. Jeez, and we might actually see a 3-stock from So Good. That lead that Oakland had very briefly is evaporating in front of our eyes. That if So Good manages to get out of this, that's going to be a full 4-stock lead that they'll have over Oakland, and being down 4 stocks against Northwood is a position that I definitely do not envy. But you know what? With Ken and with how solid Rebel Nerfer is, I can't see this stock potentially getting taken if they don't fumble. That should be a shorty. That should be a stock. Yes, it is, and now only a 2-stock deficit for Oakland going into this next match. You know what? The issue is we still have not seen Seth. We still have not seen Frostbite, who are 2 incredible players. Despite this being close right now, Northwood, I really feel like he is in an amazing position.
Yeah, I think being down 4 stocks against North is probably a death sentence. 3 stocks, doable. It's doable, but we haven't even seen Frostbite come in yet, which is a player that I'm raring to see here, because Frostbite has already proven on stream that they are just a demolition type player. Like, they just destroy here, and we're only getting away with 1 stock. Gonna be a tall task. It is. They do. I guess they have a 2-stock situation here actually.
Yeah.
So that's even more doable than what we just discussed. But Northwood can kind of now bring out their closers, right? They have their sweep players ready to go.
Yeah. And honestly, you mentioned Frostblade. I would really, really want to see Frostblade as well again. And the last time we saw Northwood, they took out like 12 and I think 11 stocks in back-to-back sets. An absolutely incredible player right there. Seeing the Seth Falcon would be amazing too, even though the Seth Steve pretty solid as well. And they still also have Nuck, who again we both believe plays Joker, would be interesting to see too. But honestly, if I'm Northwood, this is maybe a bit closer than I would like it to be. And also, I think the best bet is to send in Frostbite to just maybe finish this up before you give Oakland a little bit of a... You don't want them to believe they could win, basically. So I think I just send in Frostbite.
I think you're right here, and that's the thing. Northwood is such a strong team that you don't want to play down to the other team's level, essentially. Not that Oakland is that much lower level than them, because definitely not, obviously. They're giving Northwood a run for their money. But you don't want to, like, get too cocky, right? You don't want to be overly confident, like, overly zealous with how you play here. You still want to take this as seriously as you can, which, of course, I'm assuming they are. But you want to be careful of that, like the little tiny mistakes you might make because you've had the leads a lot and you're such a strong and dominant team. You know, that's the opportunity where another team can kind of best you here, and we'll see. Frostbite is now down against Werble Nerfer Shen, not by much, but it could be enough to. Oh no!
With no punish on that whiff. Sure, you can both of them kind of whiffing their up B options there, but we didn't see too much of a punish deck. Yeah, you brought an excellent point. I think. Oh wow, okay, a little bit of a push off stage there, as Frostbite does take that in a very anticlimactic way. But hey, a stock is stock. But yeah, attack. You brought up a good point. I think it's easy to to feel good. It's easy to feel good and to play good when you're always in like an advantageous position. But I think what really tells whether a team is great or not is how you respond when things aren't necessarily going perfectly for you. Even though they do have that 3-stock lead, we're so used to seeing Northwood completely dominating, and I'm sure they're used to dominating as well. So seeing how they respond when the opposing team is, again, at a disadvantage, but within striking distance, I want to say, of potentially beating you, it's going to be interesting to see how Northwood responds to this.
Yeah, I'm curious because Oakland, they have a player that we haven't seen yet in Typhoon, and we have a Lucina, which a character that has a pretty solid matchup spread. But I mean, Sensational, Roy should be able to deal with that, and then Sensational has the Falcon or the Steve to play with, and then they might have a Joker. Like, that is such a good spread of matchups you could throw at a Lucina and just like actually whittle them down. That's going to be tough because, I don't know, like, Frostbite might be able to just run through Lucina, might be able to get that edge on Sephiroth. Roy is a scary character. Roy is a scary character. Frostbite is a scary player for sure. And I think the thing is, too, is that we saw the Steve from Sensational. Let's assume Seth is still playing, right? Because we haven't seen Nuck at all. Seth doesn't have to go Steve's. Seth could easily go Falcon and bring this back. Falcon Lucina, though, could be a trouble for Falcon, so we might end up seeing that Steve if it comes down to it. But that's if Frostbite even needs a swap out here, right? So Oakland in a position they want. It's wild because Oakland is actually a really strong team. So for them to be going down potentially to a 3 and a 3 and I believe 2,
I think, yeah,
3-2 record here, like that's. They've lost to Michigan Tech, and now they might lose to Northwood. Respectable losses, to be sure.
Definitely.
But it just shows how strong the field is here during this 2022 season. Even some of the better teams are finding that there are just no ways about avoiding taking losses. But I would say of all teams to not have that not apply to them, it's Northwood. They are looking to be on a 5-0 run here, and then some.
And we are getting into Game 6, potentially the last game. Oakland is going to be sent. They are sending in Spectral. The Lucina, definitely a solid pick. You're matching speed with speed, but Roy does have that kill power. Lucina has the edge in range. We'll see if that is a factor, as we see Frostbite already putting on a quick 44%. Spectral fighting right back. But now Roy, Frostbite in advantage. Oh no. Dak, stop the tournament. Stop the, that's the sickest thing I ever see. Hey, if that's not in plays the week next week, then Jesus Christ.
That's a clip right there.
I have ever seen. First 2 hits of double edge dance into a roll read forward smash is crazy. Oh my god! And the tournament right there, as far as I'm concerned, that actually counted as 2 stocks.
Oh!
Either way, Spectral fighting right back, tying it up.
I was gonna say, as you're talking, Spectral is just bringing it right back to them and gets another reversal right there to even things up at 2 stocks apiece. I mean, Spectral can't afford to be giving away any stocks, but if you're gonna give away a stock, that's how you get right back into this. Now, Spectral, almost landing that down air just a bit too late on Frostbite. But now Frostbite might have to be a bit worried here. Spectral's finding almost the exact same amount of momentum. You'd see immediately Frostbite trying to slow down this game. It's like, okay, Spectral, you got a little speed behind you. Let me try to take the wind out of your sails.
And honestly, right now, both trading hit for hit, but for Spectral, you can't really afford to do that right now. There has to be a point where you kind of explode and take out these stocks. And if Spectral can manage to take these 2 without losing one more, then at that point, it's going to be anyone's game heading into game 7. And if they're trying to possibly take one right there, but the double KO? Yes, that's going to be a double KO, and oh my god, every Spectral, you don't want that to happen. You need to hang onto that stock, but Oakland right now down to stock number 1. Frostbite has 1 left as well, but they still have 3 left with whoever their last remaining player is going to be. Man, but Spectral is making me a believer right now. If they can manage to get out of this, they have a chance. Which is something I definitely did not think I would be saying against anyone playing Northwood.
And we talked about a little bit how the scoreboard might have been not indicative of what we actually saw in the previous set, but now I think it very much is. I think Oakland has really stepped it up in this series, and this set of series that is, and certainly off the play of players like Spectral, who's going down deep. Make things go to 3 remaining stocks here for Northwood. They are not done just yet. Oakland does not want to give things up, and now it is up to Spectral. Can they do it? Can they get these last 3 stocks and force this set to a set 3? This match to a set 3. That would be absolutely incredible for this player, for Spectral, to be that clutch anchor that Oakland so desperately needs right now against arguably the strongest team in the entire league in Northwood University.
Northwood showing that they bleed just like everybody else up until this point. This team looked absolutely unstoppable, but Oakland right now on the brink of potentially taking them out. And I want to bring it back to something you said earlier, which I thought was a very, very good point. Right now, if Oakland does lose this, they're going to be 3-2. But that 3-2 record is nowhere near a accurate portrayal of how good this team is. This is the closest we've seen anyone actually get to taking North. I don't think we've seen Northwood down to their final 3 stocks before. Maybe off stream, but at least on broadcast we have not seen that. And Spectral, with the way they were playing in that last game, I honestly would not be shocked if they managed to take 3 from whoever Northwood sends in next, whether that's Seth or Nook. Wow.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it's doable. And Spectral, if anyone can do it, it's them. Both of these teams show that they have really strong players, really strong clutch players, really strong anchors, and that's exactly what you need in a crew battle. Players that can bring things right back, essentially bring your team back from the brink here. Now, to be fair, we saw some really good play, from Triska to really kind of put them in this situation. And honestly, even Whirl and Poison Jam also did some damage. It's a team effort at the end of the day, but Spectral has been keeping things clean, and it will be sensational. Realizing the dire situation that they might be in here, not going to play around. They're going to Falcon.
And you know what? Might not be the greatest matchup for Seth, but you know what? Seth is one of those players who's so good. I don't even think matchups really matter to them. It is only 1 stock. It's not like they're on even footing. With Falcon, all you need is 1 good read, and the other person's stock will be erased. So we'll see if they can manage to do that. But man, Spectral just absolutely in their bag right now. Double Falcon kick? No way. That's so rude. Double aerial Falcon kick is so rude, man.
Wow, and Spectral just barely getting away, fast falling through the platform. Has to be careful though. I mean, this is a matchup where both characters can blow up the other so hard, right? Like they both punish each other incredibly hard, which it can be great for Spectral, but obviously also any whiffs, anything that Spectral messes up, just makes it so much harder for Spectral to bring back here for Oakland. Sensational knows that they have a little bit of error to work with. They can afford to make a couple of mistakes here. Spectral going too deep, gets the kill, but it is not worth it. it will be Northwood taking it just barely off the back of Sensational, who gets that last stock and retains the last two. But it will be Northwood taking this series 2-0. That makes them 5-0 in the regular season. Dominating performance by them, and Oakland giving them a run for their money. But it will be Northwood who cashes out in the end.
Man, Oakland, like I know they lost, but I have to give a big shout out to Oakland.
Yeah.
That first set they had, again, it was a 4-stock victory for Northwood, but really wasn't as close as it really, as the scoreboard will show. But that one, you brought them down to 2, like legit, and they were playing. You can tell they were like playing, and you brought them down to 2. It's just so unfortunate that Oakland. It's so unfortunate that in competition, someone has to lose. Because Oakland, they played like winners an entire match, but when you're playing against Northwood, this behemoth of a team, no matter who they send out, it really feels like they can destroy everyone that you have. To go toe for toe with them is absolutely incredible. So if I'm Oakland, I'm honestly feeling good about how I played. If I'm Northwood, maybe I'm, I realize I'm not invincible anymore. You realize, hey, these talented teams, a lot of talented teams out there that can take us out. We saw again Trisket with a fantastic opening against Copel there, so big shout out to him too. But man, if I'm Northwood, I was definitely sweating there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Northwood finally kind of not meeting their match, but getting pretty close to it. And to be fair, they played with their food a little bit, but you can tell when they needed to turn things up, they did it, and they really dug deep to do so. This is a great start here by Copel, who made things a little easier. We saw the sensational Steve coming out in this first set. We get all these replays. Gonna try to bring us through the story of this matchup that was closer than we might have expected. Even though we both went for this was a great conversion, by the way. That was love that. Something you don't see often enough, but it's so good. No matter what Steve has, you convert off of it. But Northwood, a team that we both predicted to take it, and they did, but we felt it would be, I think, a bit more convincing.
Yep.
But as we went through this set, we realized, hey, Oakland has the stuff as well. Trisket, a player that has dominated other players. Just that Northwood just had more of those types of players. That was insane. In the blink of an eye, you might miss it. Like, for every Trisket that Oakland has, Northwood has a Copel. They have a Frostbite. They have a Sensational. These are players that can take out teams on their own. And I think that's where we're at in Collegiate Smash. You need a whole team of those players to be the best, and that's why Northwood's 5-0.
It's like a Hydra. Cut one head off and 2 more grow back. I feel like every team has that one player where it's like, okay, if you take them out, you take a sigh of relief. But Northwood has 4, potentially 5 of those people where, no matter who you take out, the next person might give you even harder of a time. There's no player that, they don't have a definitive, I guess best, which is absolutely insane. They're a very well-balanced team. Their roster incredibly diverse, again, with Roy, We Fit, K-Rule, and then either Falcon or Steve, no matter which way you want to go. Hey, but either way, we're gonna get a chance to talk to Northwood right now after that incredible victory. Hello,
Hi.
Seth. Welcome back to the broadcast. How you doing? Good to see you again.
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am doing great, especially after watching what was an incredible match from you guys.
What's happening?
So, what's going on back there?
Hey.
Anyways, so that second set, I really want to talk about. That's the first time I really feel like I've seen you guys, bleed. At least a little bit. How nervous were you going into those last couple of matches there?
We were sweating a little bit. We weren't planning. I don't. Frostbite was planning on playing today. He kept asking to anchor, so it was more than we expected for sure.
Sorry, what's going on behind you?
I think they're playing. They're doing all they can to steal the spotlight.
Yeah, they're doing a good job there, but of course, hard to take the spotlight away from you. Definitely one of your teams, players that you can rely on in any way, shape, or form. You threw out the Steve there instead of the Falcon for that first set, and then you had to go Falcon for that second one. So thoughts behind that? It was just like, hey, we're gonna see if it worked. You didn't have as much pressure on you, and then obviously the second set, you wanted to make sure you won it. You went Falcon.
That was preemptive. Like, if we go up by more than the character, then Jacob will allow me to enter with Steve, because I really just want to try him out. So I got the okay for Jacob, and I used Steve, and I got 3 stocks is enough. I'm counting that as a W. And yeah, I didn't have any expectations going in. I just really felt like pulling Steve out today.
So you're now 5-0 under the season, one of the few undefeated teams remaining. Are you kind of? Do you feel like you can take your foot off gas a little bit, or are you going into every single week, thinking thinking no matter who you face, they might be a great opponent? Or do you feel like you can take your foot off the gas a little bit now?
We're gonna want to win everyone that we go up against, no matter what the stakes are. It's just kind of all of us individually have real competitive mindsets. We're always playing to only just like secure the prize money, to prove it to ourselves, prove it to our teammates. So we're gonna take our foot off the pedal anytime soon.
Yeah, definitely happy to hear that. Oakland definitely give you a little bit of a run for your money. So even though we're 5-0, any kind of takeaways from this one? I mean, Oakland definitely kept it close, especially in that last set. So y'all can bleed, even though you can definitely win. Is there anything you're kind of keeping in the back of your head as you go into the later portion of the season? These teams aren't too far behind you. What are you thinking on that?
I'm just thinking that we got to make sure we keep taking it seriously and not, with 4 easier sets leading up to this. I thought maybe we didn't go into it with the right mindset that anyone could really push us to the brink like Oakland did today. So I think it's good experience having played against them today, that next time we go in, we know that anything can happen and we're not going to play around.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Seth. Congratulations on the win. Congrats on being 5-0. Go tell the rest of you I said congrats too. Honestly, me and I think Dak both have you as like one of the favorites to win the entire tournament. So please don't let us down. Okay, don't make us look dumb.
All right, I'll do my best. I don't know about these guys.
All right, see you, Seth. Again, speaking to Sensational, an amazing player on an amazing team. That team is just by far the most well-balanced team I think we've seen this entire season. I wholly expect them to go far, and if that 5-0 record is any indication, they definitely will.
Yeah, it would not be. I expect us to have another interview with Seth at some point in the future, but to talk about that, we got to jump into exactly what you expect here every week on NA Star League. Tomorrow is CSGO Fridays. Be sure to check that out. There's some great commentators over there. I believe my man Vincent's over there casting CSGO every week, so shout-outs to him. He's been doing some great Counter-Strike work. And, of course, we have great Counter-Strike every Friday. And then on Tuesdays, not only just League of Legends, we got Overwatch 2. Overwatch is back, and it has joined the NA Star League. Overwatch 2 League of Legends on Tuesdays, and then Call of Duty and Valorant on Wednesdays. Of course, you can always find us here on Thursdays for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Cruise, but there is all kinds of great esports action throughout the week for you to check out, whether you love FPSs, MOBAs, fighting games, or anything in between. We've got you locked down here at NA Star League.
And before we head off, I have to give a big shout out once again to every single one of our partners who made this tournament possible. Extra Life, Corsair, Monster, BetterHelp, Duncan, Mavix, and ROTC. Again, none of this would be possible without their amazing assistance. So I had to shout them out quickly before I leave. But final thoughts is, like, as we're getting towards the end of the regular season, I really feel like we're starting to see the truly good teams separate themselves from teams that were maybe just kind of all right, maybe just kind of okay. So I'm just, and we're seeing teams, we saw Kaiser get significantly better from week 2 until now. So I'm just really excited to see the growth from maybe some of the previous teams we've seen maybe not do so well earlier. I'm just really excited to see how much they've done in these couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. The cream is starting to rise to the top, the cream of the crop rising to the top. But at the same time, I think with one thing that's a big takeaway from here is that even in Northwood, who is very much, I think, the favorite, one of the strongest teams, even they can really need to be sure to not slip, right? Like Oakland, I think, gave Northwood the hardest set that they've had, as Seth said, like, hey, we had some kind of easier set the first 5 weeks or whatever. Now they had a set where they really had to make sure that they came out on top. Like, couldn't just kind of play around. Even when we saw them playing around with their food, they got punished for it a little bit. And Oakland took them to the last character where Seth was like, all right, I have to go Falcon. We got to make sure we win here. So even though they had these kind of contingencies, like, okay, like, I'll use this character, we're up full 3 stocks, we'll play around a little bit. they still had to actually play it through and play it out the real way because Oakland was not letting them win this easily. And I think that's something that these teams have to remember, that if they're doing really well in the regular season, they can still take losses. It's not over just yet. And even if they make it all the way through the regular season, what matters are the play-ins, the playoffs, the LCQ, the grand finals. That's where it really matters. And if you give opponents a way to get in, if you give an inch, they're going to take a mile. And I think teams like Northwood definitely have to keep that in consideration. They're the best now, but it matters then. That's when you're the best team. And if you let teams kind of come back and bring you back, they will take that opportunity. I would not be surprised to see more of Oakland playing really well in the future. Yep. And I wouldn't be surprised to see other teams give Northwood a run for their money as well.
And yeah, when you get the playoffs, record be damned, none of that matters anymore. All that matters is the team in front of you. And playoffs, you know what? Regular season is winding down. We only have, I think 2 weeks left, week 7, week 8, before we get into the conference play-ins and all that kind of stuff. But we do have to call it quits for this week. This is a fantastic week of Collegiate Smash. I hope next week is just as good, if not better. I am Mies, this is Dak, and this was a pleasure, and we'll see everybody next week.